Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. This is your host, Minette Lawrence, waiting on Pastor Percival to arrive. But in the meantime, good morning to you, to those who made the time to be with us early. We actually have an early riser on the live chat as well. So, whomever you are, good morning. Do say hello and give us a like so we can get more persons on board. Good morning to the crew in the house. Good morning, Mr. Engineer and the producer. Always a pleasure to see the happy faces ready for us to do our work here on the Morning Connection. Just so you know, we are streaming live, Lola99 on Twitch. If you go to YouTube, it's Best 100 FM. I gotta remind myself all the time. Best 100 FM dash TMC. Lola is also streaming on YouTube and on Twitch. We are also live on Facebook. So anywhere you want to find us on social media. Wow, we're like the virus. We're everywhere, but nowhere as deadly. Um, all right, so let me just remind our listeners what it is that we do here, and if there is a new one or two new persons, or many new persons, just a reminder of what we seek to do on the Morning Connection. This is the show, the first show that greets our very faithful Best FM family in the mornings. And we aim to use our words and our spiritual insights to make a connection with you that can give you a firm position as you take on the challenges of the day. It is our desire, and it is something that we work hard to accomplish. It is our desire that what we say, the discussions that we have, the interactions with our listeners is of such quality that we motivate and inspire all of you listening to do the same in your personal life. Um, the business of personal choice, how we prepare ourselves for the choices that we have to make, very important. In the season past, we went through many of the critical areas that are important to daily living. We've of course spent countless hours talking about COVID-19 and the pandemic protocols. We've addressed issues such as the battlefield of the mind, which we have been at pains to communicate that the staging of the next, we had World War One, World War Two, the Cold War, and now we are in an age when the battlefield for control of humanity will take place in the hearts and minds of individuals. Now, wars no longer need weapons of mass destruction, which would physically destroy and affect the body. We are now able to use communication, misinformation, disinformation. The war is of an entirely different sort. And the better prepared you are to engage in this kind of warfare, the better your chances of survival. This war is taking place on every front. It's happening in our communities, it's happening in our families, it's happening in our personal lives. It is of interest in the career choices that we make, in our political choices, in whether we choose to speak up or to remain silent. It is my wish that most of us will choose to speak up in defense of the values, the principles, the causes that have the interest of mankind, not just yourself, but others than yourself at the heart of it. So that's what we do here. It is sort of a mission, if you will. Some say a ministry, but however you choose to describe it, Pastor Percival and myself are committed to it. Of course, I speak in his absence, but I'm sure when he gets here, he would express the same sentiment. So that is what we do. And when our callers interact with us, it is our wish, and we seek to pull it out of them, that they do a similar level of deep reflection and begin to make the connections between what is happening in their lives, in their communities, on the national and international stage, that they make the connections between all these things, because everything begins in the spiritual world before it materializes in the natural. And we want all of our citizens to be at the same point. You know, we often say here, I often say it, that we've not done a good job, we've not succeeded until all are included. If we leave one behind, we've left all behind, because we're not complete, we're not whole in ourselves as long as parts of us are struggling. All right, so that's the mission, broadly outlined. Now, as for this morning's show, we started yesterday doing a deep dive into the report that has been published concerning education. Now, many of our callers, and of course, we as citizens, have a similar preoccupation. We are very concerned with the escalating situation of crime and violence. And we have been talking for years on, they ask for a crime plan and the policy of the government, whichever government is in control of our affairs. We are all very concerned that the strategies that have been employed so far have not made a dent in it. In fact, some might say it seemed to have caused a flourishing in entirely the wrong direction. So when we look at education, many persons say if our youth, if our population is better educated, then we are laying a foundation for a more peaceful and prosperous society. So when we look at the review of the Ministry of Education and the business of education and the policies that surround education, we look at it to find the answers, or to find the strategies which can lead to that hopeful conclusion that with better education, our country will do better. So we took a look at the Orlando Patterson led commission report, and we've been having discussions around that. We will continue those discussions this morning. I challenged listeners and my co host to give some consideration to the philosophy that underpins our education system. What is it that we are seeking to accomplish, and by what means? I was dissatisfied with our use of the UNESCO approach, namely, essentially to educate our students to come out and find work, find well paid work. I believe we want our students, our children, to come out and create, produce, collaborate, establish an environment for a kind of an environment for teamwork that would see us pulling together instead of competing for scarce resources. That is my belief. I'd love to hear what you think. Naturally, all of our positions are grounded in the principles of the kingdom of God, which we believe is truly at hand. Said many years ago that it's at hand, so it's always at hand. So we anchor our beliefs and our statements in those principles, and we move from there into what it is that we see set out in our Constitution. So you know that in all of our conversations, the need for constitutional reform and the direction that it will take is a present visitor, or a present. It's always present at the table. Let's put it that way. So join me in the hours to come as we take this journey. This is the first break of the morning coming up, 6:30. So please stay with us. We'll be right back. This is the Morning Connection with your host, Minette Lawrence, on Best 100 FM. Welcome back to the Morning Connection. This is your host, Minette Lawrence, missing Percival Palmer. Percival, if you are listening, we're trying your phone and not getting through to you. Please let us know that you're okay. So many things can happen on the road to work, so to speak. We don't take it lightly. We've not been getting through on your phone, so please let us know if you're doing your school run early in the morning before you get here. Thank you for that. Or if any of his family members listening, do give the producer a call to let us know that Percival is okay. Of course, having said that, I will have to let you know later in the morning that he is okay. I'm not sure what is happening. So, as they say, the show must go on. All right. Before the break, we were talking a little bit, just recapping what we have been discussing and what the discussion that will continue today. I do want to hear from our listeners what your expectations are from the business of education. What do you want to see for your children? Because this report was done after an extensive process of consultation. Now, I know they didn't get to talk to every Jamaican, or maybe they didn't even get to talk to the average Best FM listener, because a lot of times these consultations are taking place and they seem to happen fairly quietly. Yesterday, I spoke about the style of leadership which we aspire to see in this country, the style of leadership which mimics the approach of the good shepherd. The good shepherd who cares for his sheep will leave the 99 and search for the one. Many of us are that one, that individual who has grown tired, who has lost hope somewhat, who has been distracted by the cares of life, that individual who's been battling maybe health issues or financial issues, or just not feeling that the society has a place for you. And so you have not moved along with the herd. The Good Shepherd will leave the 99 and come for you. So, this program, in many ways, is a voice seeking to find that one individual who needs to be boosted, to be lifted on the shoulders, and carried back into the mainstream of life. And therefore, it's an opportunity for you to say, what is it that I want to see for my children when I send them to school? And to understand that your voice matters. So practice your voice with me. It is a policy, well, one recommendation of the report, and I think it would be foolhardy of principals and the school community not to take that on wholeheartedly. One recommendation is for greater stakeholder engagement, more collaboration between parent, teachers, students, and the environment in which the schools operate. For my own part, the vision that I have is one in which the walls are removed from the classroom. What do I mean by that? We talked earlier about the city without walls, the city which incorporates its citizens wherever they are situated. The diaspora, in Jamaica's case, in for Africa, Africans in the diaspora, which includes all of Jamaica, insofar as a high percentage of the Jamaican population are from Africa. So Africa's walls have been removed to incorporate us, and those walls, what symbolizes the removal of those walls? The change in policy that is more embracing and that is more interactive with the children of Africa who are scattered abroad. Similarly, for Jamaica, we are seeking to engage more with our diaspora to bring them into the planning and the execution of plans in our nation. So, too, for the schools need to remove the barriers that stand between them and the society, corporate society, civil society, so that the business of learning begins in the home, continues on the bus or the transportation method that you use to get to school, has a substantial period within the classroom, continues in the work environment where you may have internship or apprenticeship arrangements. And so you are really carried in this cradle of learning from the time your mother sets you off to pre-kinder or, wherever you go, right until the time you step out as an independent person ready to create, to produce, and to contribute. So that is the vision I have. That means persons like myself, the station that I'm with, we should be making sure that any school that is within our community, that we establish a relationship with that school, some kind of relationship. We should not maintain a distance from the school. Whatever it is we can do, support a program, um, transport kids, look out for the kids while they're on the road, whatever the level of support, just understand there is always something that a person with a pure heart and a diligent mind can do. Always something. The challenge is for all of us to place ourselves into the situation and make a decision to participate in one way or another. So that's the challenge. And that's the vision that I have for education. I'd wanted Percy to be here when we talk about this, but I'll make the introduction nonetheless. There is a project which we spoke about last year. Well, there are two projects. One we started, events sort of overtook us. That project continues at a fairly low ebb in the background. I can see that the necessity for it is emerging again. And that project, as you know, we created a hotline and we began to organize some resources for persons who need to talk, need advice on what kind of easy to attain remedies are available to boost your immune system. The need to boost your immune system in natural ways remain it, in fact, I think it's even more urgent. We see on the front pages and we're hearing it everywhere we go. The health system is crumbling. It's crumbling in two significant ways. The human resource element, they're just tired and they're falling ill. They're paying the price. And then in terms of the infrastructure, no beds. I mean, a friend of mine has had her visually impaired brother has been in the hospital in Spanish Town for several months now, waiting to have a prosthetic device implanted in a broken leg. And he's been prepped twice for surgery and it's been rescheduled. I think we get to the point where we're at risk of losing our humanity because we're so overwhelmed by the problem that we just throw our hands up and say, you know what, whatever. It is a great strain on the persons who have to carry the frontline responsibility. So it is more important today than it was on the first day to understand that to keep yourselves out of hospital, it's not just a matter of taking the vaccine. You have to keep your immune system in tip top fighting order so that whatever happens to you, it minimizes the severity of your symptoms. In fact, if you are doing it right, it's preventative if you're doing it right. So I'm just going to give a shout out to Dr. Sylvia Mitchell, who has made available through this program her immune booster tea. So many persons have benefited from it because they call us, they call the hotline, they send us a message, and we're able to make the connection. And they have been assisted by it. She tells me now that almost with regularity, after 2 bottles, everybody feels better. And this is just one of the simple, inexpensive ways that you can boost your immune system. Other ways, of course, is just eating right, eating better. We talk about it all the time. I went by the one of the vaccine centers yesterday, and amongst the information that I was given was a sheet telling me all about, COVID-19, the protocols, and the only recommendation that it had in print for me was to, wash my hands, sanitize, wear my mask, maintain social distance. So I said, why don't you have something here about keeping my immune system in good order, what I eat and what I do? The poor nurse, she said to me, oh, well, if you listen, we're saying that on radio and on TV. But the printed material that they have is only talking about taking the vaccine and supporting the vaccine by doing these other things. Those other things don't affect your body's ability to respond. And now that the truth is out and we fully understand that this, whatever, I mean, we're still calling it vaccine, but this material that is injected into your body does not prevent or cure. It is just another way of hedging, guarding against the severity of symptoms, and it ought to prevent your going to the hospital. But what you really want is to have your body strong enough to withstand the virus so you don't contract it. Or if you contract it, you're completely asymptomatic because your body is so healthy and strong. I think we should not miss the opportunity to emphasize that. So that project is still going. And if you listen to us with regularity, you will hear some of the callers who are very faithful to a holistic lifestyle. You will hear them from time to time mention the remedies that they use and practice. The information is available, and we have offered ourselves as a conduit for it. So that's project number one. Project number two is of an entirely different nature. It officially it will start tomorrow with, or we will meet the first set of students who are participating. Yes. We will be meeting with the first set of students at the school that our first remedial intervention program. It has a name, CLIP, Community Learning Initiative Program. And please be thankful, it could have been CLAP, but we rather wisely didn't use that name. So we have a community learning initiative that is underway. I'm just going to outline very briefly what it aims to do. And then in due course, we will have our partners, those who are partnering with us on it, in the professional as well as those volunteers who are coming on board. We'll have an occasion when we have them in studio or maybe at the Ligani Club, and you can actually engage with them concerning it. So let's talk a little bit about CLIP. So CLIP has a mission. Our mission is to provide critical support to children and families who have fallen behind in meeting their literacy and numeracy needs. To elaborate a bit, it's a national project, so it's not going to be confined to the Kingston area. It's starting in Kingston because we need to have sort of an incubator and be mindful of the weak points, if there are any, and just do a test run, so to speak. So it will start in Kingston. I'll announce the name of the school after we have our meeting tomorrow, because we've not discussed. Right. So in our assessment of the literacy and numeracy needs, there are two things that have risen to the fore. One, the need for critical literacy. That is to say, when our students engage with the educational process and system, they must be so aware of the interconnectedness of all things that whatever they learn, they are able to analyze it, to test it, to question it, to interrogate it, as one person said, and to apply it in a real world environment. So it's not just academic, and it's not just a storehouse of knowledge that has no real meaning to your everyday experience. Critical literacy is somewhat like critical race theory, which you've heard me go on about in previous shows, to this extent. When you are able to question your environment, you can ask the how, the why, the what of everything. Whatever instruction you receive, whatever information you get, you're permitted to test it rigorously and to apply your own storehouse of knowledge born out of your circumstances to your understanding of the issue. So, for example, a child who is coming out of a low-income household and is being told that, a particular set of books are necessary for their education, but they can't afford half of them. that child is permitted to inquire, why am I existing in a system that places a demand on me which I am unable to meet? And if you are placing that demand, is it your responsibility to ensure that I have what I need? These are questions which would cause an emerging, a fresh mind or a young mind to grapple with the issues of social responsibility, of accountability in government, of why it is that we vote for persons, or how do we choose the persons we vote for? What is the connection between the performance of those individuals and my personal circumstances? I've stretched it a bit, but you understand what I'm saying. When you achieve critical literacy, you're able to make connections that can push you forward, that can allow you to demand the things that are a part of your independence, your autonomy, your freedom of choice. So critical literacy is critical. The other element is digital literacy. We are more and more operating in a digital environment. Most of the service providers, the telecoms companies, were first. They are sending you bills online. They are providing you with statements and promotions, and they're conducting surveys. They are leading you to use a virtual assistant to navigate customer service. A lot of us have an aversion to these things, and as a consequence, we are unable to enjoy the benefits of the environment in which we operate. So I just got breaking news: Percy's okay. What's the rest of it? He can he can't tell you when he comes, but it appears that had he been awake, he would have been here on time. That's how it appears to be. Right. So digital literacy is a critical component of how we educate our population. And notice now, I'm shifting from children and I'm saying population. A policy that calls for greater stakeholder engagement, meaning parents and corporate Jamaica and so on, need to play a part in the provision of education. That policy cannot achieve its objectives without the entire population of stakeholders achieving some level of digital literacy. So here, the children will have to become the teachers in the home environment, or we have to create opportunities for the parents to be a part of the program, and so their literacy skills can be boosted. So our Community Learning Initiative project will incorporate these elements of critical literacy and digital literacy in our program. The program is designed to address the literacy and numeracy gaps in our student communities. The non-governmental organizations, including churches, serve the communities in which they are located in many ways. There is, however, no program or very few programs to address the lack of literacy and numeracy skills that continue to hinder the development of these communities. COVID-19 has exacerbated this situation as many of our children have not been able to continue their educational journey on the online platform. It is the aim of this program to solicit the assistance of retired teachers and other professionals who are willing to serve their communities. Persons who are desirous of serving and have no training will be given ongoing intensive professional training. In this regard, I will be forever indebted to a senior lecturer at MICO, you'll hear her name eventually, who has been a pillar, a key architect in constructing the program, and who has designed the professional training modules and the policies and so on that go with it. I'll have her here so you can, show her some love. At the heart of it is a policy of volunteerism. So let's talk about volunteerism. We typically understand this in the realm of service clubs, but service clubs have operated more as networking centers where persons of like mind can associate under a common vision, and then, they take on one or two projects in the community based on whatever theme is appropriate to the day. The spirit of volunteerism, however, is critical to the development of social responsibility in a society. And what it is to volunteer, to give of your time, especially your time, not your resources, your time, to give of your time in the pursuit of a socially worthy cause, to expend your effort, apply your professional skills if you have, or your just your social skills, and it is driven completely by love and a sense of social responsibility. So the principle of volunteerism is at the heart of this program. The things we do, the persons we engage, we if we pay a stipend, it is only based on the availability of funds, and it would be completely discretionary. We have to know that you have stepped into this simply because you see the need and you want to be a part of it. So we are we are really pushing for persons to come on board as volunteers first and foremost. Of course, we have solicited the support of other partners to help us defray the cost, especially the cost of the mobile education labs, which I will talk about in a minute. Substantial capital outlay is required to cover some of these. However, the hands and feet of the program, volunteers. There will be core staff and admin staff who will be paid, because sometimes you get what you pay for, and if you don't pay for anything, then you know how that ends. So it's not to denigrate the value of the service of the volunteers, but the core staff will be paid staff, and we have partners on board who are helping us with that. The producer and I have a tiny company. That's one of the core sponsors, and our time, the time we put in it, is a part of what we volunteer. And the funds that we have, such as are available to us, we have put that already. So the program is already fully funded for the first month. Provisions have been purchased, the school is on board, and we will meet the first cohort of students tomorrow afternoon. The mobile lab is a critical part of the project. I'm a country girl. I said that here so many times. And I use the expression country girl deliberately because that's a relatable term to mean I grew up in a very urban community. I only came into the city to study, and I only stayed in the city for most of my life in order to work. But wouldn't it be wonderful if instead of or having to come to the city, we could contain that rural to urban drift by bringing certain amenities and benefits always closer to the communities, so that the communities themselves can begin to um, form deeper roots, and roots, I'd say that maybe I have to rephrase that, because there are roots, but those communities can begin to see an independent economic life emerging that can keep their children there and make them, less of bed sitter communities, but more functional. I had a conversation in one of our planning sessions talking about what it is that binds a community together. Obviously, it has to be communal activity. But where I live, for example, I only know one neighbor's name. I only know his surname, probably. Um, his house. I have no community. Let's put it that way. I do not enjoy community in the geographic location that I live. I have no community. My community is with my professional and family contacts who come in and out of my home, and I go to them. But we have not honored the necessity of creating infrastructure for communities to enjoy communion. I keep using the word because I want to emphasize it. Um, there's no place. I live in Stony Hill. There's no place that you can get together to discuss common issues. You'd have to meet at somebody's house, and then it just depends on who can accommodate you. There's no system of interaction between local government and the community. So if consultations are taking place on anything, and I've lived there for over 20 years, and I've never known of any consultation at the community level, you have to be curious and inquiring and find your way into things in order to, impact issues. It ought not to be so. Now, in rural communities, there's a church or a school hall, or there are ways that the leaders of the community can easily find and make decisions together. Mind you, it's largely informal because our local government has not set up infrastructure for dialogue at the community level. It's all very political. The councillor choose who him know on his side, and that is the and be all and end all of it. Undesirable, unsatisfactory. We need to create enough life within the community and have a structure within the community that is formal, so that communities can truly bond and make decisions together that's for the good of all. Enough said. um, there, the business of relying on the person who owned the most land, or the person who have a car, or it all tends to be based on who has capital or who has assets. That's where people look for decision making, and we have perpetuated that. The JP become kind of like the local mayor if he is a very sociable and charismatic or active JP. Things can operate around the JP, who will know everybody business because people go to him with all kinds of things. Ought not to be so. Communities are social creatures, and they require some amount of engagement and infrastructure in order to survive. Persons who live in NHD schemes or various planned housing schemes have a little a better taste of community life, because you come under the one umbrella, and if it is a good scheme, it has a little meeting place and so on and so forth. But with the next to no exposure to real community living, these things tend to fall into disuse. After a while, they're not maintained. You drive through many communities and you see the communal field covered in grass, or somebody put up something on it that shouldn't be there, and so on and so forth. You get my drift. We have decided with this program to create mobile education labs. It's really a containerized classroom with all the amenities of a modern classroom, and take it into the communities, and through the use of volunteers engage with students. For when it comes into your community, it will be there for 8 hours. So we'll do a rotation of classes based on prior arrangement. It is going to be awesome. In researching it, I saw that one other minister, member of parliament, had it in mind for his constituency many years ago, but it never materialized. And I would have thought that that's something that the government would have sought to put in. But you know what? The opportunity is there, and we as private sector, we are seizing it, and we are going to make sure that it has an impact in the areas that need it most. And I'm really praying that the partners who are looking at the proposal will give me a quick answer so we can get those running in as short a time as possible. All right, I've got the nod. It is 7 o'clock. So we are going to take our break. Please stay with us. We will be right back. This is the Morning Connection. I'm going to invite you in. Good morning and welcome back to the Morning Connection. So I've invited the producer to join me on mic because I want us to talk a little bit this issue about what is a community and how communities function. So I'm going to read one of the objectives of this project. The producer himself is a partner, a sponsor of the project. And then we're going to have a little conversation to give you a deeper look into how we're thinking. An objective of the initiative is to improve employment opportunities in the communities and entrepreneurial skills. Students and adults will be given training and information to prepare them for business ownership and operations. This approach is consistent with the understanding that critical literacy is a vehicle for social and economic change. Our program will challenge the students to become involved in social action projects and micro investment projects that can improve the conditions in their communities. Private sector partnerships are critical to the success of this objective. And I was say on the line, but let's say in studio with me is one of the private sector partners, none other than my own husband and partner, Lowell, who produces the show and is the relief co-presenter with Pastor Percy oversleep. So Lowell, you know what we were
First
thinking
of
of.
all, let me say good morning to our listeners and also take the opportunity to invite those online to join in the conversation because it's the only way that we know that we are reaching people, that they are hearing us, and we get the feedback that is so important in everything that we do. Yes. Yes, so you were saying.
Right. We had a particular vision when we talked about that, and some of it came out of the childhood experiences that you narrated when, as a youngster in your community, you actually had a community. Um, the kids participated and played a role in building community life. And of course, I think to this day, you enjoy some strong relationships coming out of that experience. So, how are we going to accomplish this, my dear sir?
Well, it's interesting. I remember the other day we were having a discussion about the community and, the facilities that were available within the community. I remember growing up, our community, like most housing schemes, they had a community center, they have fields, and so on and so forth. And I also recall us making the comparison when you look at, for example, Upper St. Andrew. You don't see that happening. What you see is people with their individual homes, and within their homes, they build all the facilities that they need there. So you don't have a center where people come together as a community in order to interact with each other and, just share common interests and so on. And I think that is what is lacking in our country today. And I dare say that that is also one of the contributing factor to the issues that we are having, crime and violence, all the social ills that we experience within the society.
Dysfunctional communities and
Yes.
families.
Now, to top that off, you see so many developments going up, and there's nothing to support, extracurricular activities and so on. For my own part, growing up, I remember that, you just could not wait until school is over or during the holidays to head over to the community center and to play all the various sports and so on, that were popular then. And that also led to us learning a lot of other things because when you interact with different ages, children of different ages or people of different ages, then you learn. And so there are a lot of things that I learned as a youngster growing up
That are still bearing fruit today.
Exactly.
We had talked about on a prior occasion, we talked about that need for the skill and wisdom of the elders to be transferred to the younger generation. Are you a beneficiary of such transfer?
Oh, most definitely. Most
How
definitely
did that?
I am.
How did your community incorporate the elders in the social life?
Well, the truth is, the elders make themselves available to the youth because as youngsters, certainly you want to enjoy yourself with your peers, and so we didn't necessarily reach out to the elders, but they got involved. I mean, you'll have a football game, you have a cricket game going, you have table tennis going, and they would get involved and make themselves available. And after the game, you would sit and you would chat and they would share experiences. You
The
talk and
storytelling.
Nancy's story, you do all of these things. You
And when
know,
you say they would get involved, you mean they would contribute?
they would contribute.
So the money and the food and maybe some
as well as time,
chef
their own
services
time.
and time.
Yes.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about making sure that volunteers, the spirit of volunteerism, operates in the purest sense to make these things successful. What's your experience in that? I mean, even now, are you a volunteer?
Well, not at the moment in terms of being affiliated with a club or a center or anything like that. Of course, a few years ago, our community mainly, have to do with the Ligony Club and what we do for squash and so on. It's very active in that area. And certainly, I'm yearning to get back in. And now that we've started this project, then certainly I will become involved, because there are so many youngsters out there who they don't have a father figure, they don't have a mentor. And, it is very important for them, for their own development, for,
For these relationships to be formed.
to get involved.
So let's talk a little bit about the entrepreneurial side, this idea of training persons to become business owners and to operate the business, not just, to execute an idea, but to sustain it. Give me an insight into the kinds of projects that you are likely to initiate, participate in, and maybe oversee, because you are one of the persons who would oversee on the financial and the operational side for these community projects. What kind of projects can we look forward to?
Well, one of the first things is to know how to use the things within your environment. There are youngsters around. You see old things lying around that you can repair, you can refurbish, and so on. So first of all, to get this idea out of the minds of the young ones, that you need to have money in order to do something, when the truth is there are so many things around you that you can use to make something of it.
Of value.
And so, yes, of value that you can even sell or, contribute, whatever it is that can also bring money in your pocket. That is one of the things that people don't realize, that a lot of the things that are around you, they do have value, but it takes someone to just put it together in order to extract the value.
Imagination and creativity.
Yes.
Someone has just entered the studio.
Oh, bongo.
Looks like the ghost of Christmas past.
You mean the bongo man come?
The bongo man come.
Yes.
I'm from a farming community. So when I think of community-based projects, I think of setting up a farm store or a farmer's market or some kind of delivery service that will move goods from farm gate to the house of the persons who want to participate. And really, those are the kinds of, I think the projects that we initiate must have some connection to the everyday life cycle and business environment in the communities. So I'm really looking forward to see how we will engage with the various communities. Welcome, Pastor Percival.
Good morning.
You sure it's morning?
Yes, man. It is. I won't tell you in the break. I'll tell you why I overslept. But anyway,
So
speaking
you did
of
oversleep?
yes, I did oversleep. And my beautiful wife came in and says, "What happened this morning? Not going out to the program." I know the implications of
because of your beautiful wife.
No, she was up. She was up. I got up and then went back and would use her as a timer to say, okay, if she come back in time for me to get up and get out of the bed.
Percival, that's such a minefield of being up and
Yes,
go back in
and yeah, man,
and
that's
using
all right.
the wife. And
That's all right.
I just think we need to just welcome you to the show.
No, but what I'm saying, I was listening to the program online and we have gone with Clip.
Yes.
You've spoken about Clip and I think it's a tremendous thing. that we're engaging in terms of we saw a need and people have responded. We have responded saying we can do something about it. And what is happening, we are pulling people resources. But I do believe the financial resources.
So now I
will
have
come.
two sponsors in the house.
Yes.
Pastor Percival and his wife.
Yeah, but
God bless you, Mrs. Palmer.
Yeah.
Yes, good morning.
Our stakeholders
to
in the
beautiful
project.
Mrs. Palmer.
That trick Pastor Percy.
No, she never tricked
Trying to
me.
blame
All
me
right,
for
we're
him
just-
sleeping late.
We're
You
just
know, we
we're just
will not
letting the
accept
story
it.
come out little
Just
by
so
little.
you know.
There was no trickery.
There's no
No.
trickery. There's no trickery. One
Yeah,
of those
but
days that I
we-
went to bed early, but
Yeah.
so it is.
That's what happened,
Yeah.
Too much sleep will make you late.
He was
You went to
enjoying
bed
it
too
too much.
early.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
back,
but we
back
were
to the
talking
project,
about
the project.
community involvement, as you
And
said.
as Lowell has said, we grew up in an era when community was so very important in terms of how would get stuff done. And as somebody who grew up in the St. Catherine era, particularly in Spanish Town, in Ensom City, that was one of the first communities, I think, outside of Kingston with Mona, that West Indies home contractors had built. But what they did when they built it, the road infrastructure is very good. Their roads have held up all of these years, and that was like in the late 60s, early 70s, like Sydenham and those places, but that was one of the scheme houses. But what they did was that in the community, they put a community center. And I recall as a young man growing up, that community center was the life of the community.
Of course.
Everything happened around the community center. You had the citizens group, and out of that came the youth club, and out of that was spawned in some city table tennis club that produced in that era a lot of champions. The Palmers, the Matthews. My sister was a part of that. She became a national champion in table tennis. I tried, but it never worked out. But so it did, But and then we had the track and field, and I remember one person who went on to represent us came out of that whole thing. We get up in the mornings, and all of us were training, hoping to become the next Donald Quirk or Merlin in that period. But it was the life and the center of the community. A lot of things happened, and even out of that arose some of our representatives in terms of the local government and so on. But that has been lost.
I
And we need to recover it, I think.
I remember I grew up in Spanish Town to my earlier years,
Right.
And I remember we would get up like 5 o'clock in the morning
And that was a buzz of
to go to play football.
Mhm.
And then you have the cane fields, which was on
And we get
Brunswick
into
Avenue.
trouble. Mhm.
When you finish football, then
Predial
you go to the
larcenists.
cane field and you're sitting there for hours.
Eating cane
And when you finish with the cane field, then you go to the canal.
go swim.
And
No,
you would
Lowell, very
swim.
careful in there. Said they sat in there for hours.
Oh,
They
yeah,
didn't
no,
eat anything. They just sat in there
we
for
sat
hours.
And we ate. Come on. You think we
There's
just-
statute of limitations as well.
yeah.
Early
And
day
I've been-
predial larcenists.
During the summer, of course, when you play football in the mornings,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the days now, you go back to the steel factory and you start to look for the bearings
Mm-hmm.
that would come off the cars, and that's what you use to make your skate, what we call a skater.
Mhm.
You use and push around.
Mhm.
But it's just to say that there are so many things that we enjoyed during those early years, and it's built around community. It's built around the friendships that you forged.
Some of your lifelong
And not
friends
to
are
say
from
that you
era.
didn't have violence then, crime and violence, but it certainly was not in the to the order that we have these days.
Yeah, the
There was
level of
greater
magnitude.
community
Yes,
integration.
great,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the truth is, there are some homes that would become was the center of the community. If you wanted anything happen, you go. My home was one of them, in terms of my mom and her interaction with the young people in the community. Talk about passing it on in terms of encouraging a lot of us, outside of her 7 children and those that should have brought along the way, in terms of what we needed to, and just encouraging us to become the best that we could be. And so, even as our family home is still there, people pass and say, "Oh, Miss Palmer doing?" That's my mom.
All right. So based on this anecdotal review,
Mm-hmm.
communities are essential.
Yeah.
and restoring the lifeblood of communities
It's going to be crucial.
urgently necessary.
Because somebody
Definitely.
alluded to that
So-
yesterday, when we're talking about the breakdown in communities. He said, there's so much social disintegration that has happened, in
So
regards to
if we're talking about the answer to crime and violence, this is it.
restoration.
Rebuild.
This is it. And
Restoration.
people need to understand.
rebuild the old ways.
Yes, if we don't
That's
get
biblical.
involved,
Yeah.
if we don't
I know.
get
Ancient
involved,
paths.
yes,
Ancient
then we'll lose
pathways,
these
yeah.
youngsters permanently,
Yeah.
and that is what we need.
Well,
to,
there are some people
to
who
fight
say that we've
against.
lost this generation, and what we're
I don't
struggling
believe that.
for is to capture those who are in the early education cohort, so we can make an
Well, no,
imprint
they
on
call
them.
it dopey, and that is
Um,
my thing.
No, I said some people,
know, I
and
know
I
there's some
appreciate that
people,
you
and
don't
they're the
agree
ones
with
I'm
that
addressing.
assessment, nor do I.
Mm.
I don't agree with that. I think we fight to the last to recapture every single person. Earlier, I was talking about the Good Shepherd, the characteristics of the Good Shepherd, who will leave the 99 and go for the one. And the one are those that some are calling lost. Just move on. Just try and capture those who look like they still have some energy. Or there has to be someone who will go to the back of the herd and pick up the strays, bind up the injured, and move them, nurse them back into productive, good health. So we talked about CLIP. It was not the official launch, but because we are doing our first meeting tomorrow, I just wanted to introduce it, and I want to wake up the sensibilities of those who are standing ready to participate in it. Wayne, that call is for you. I'm going to speak to Wayne later because I want the next
Intervention,
class to be in Taw's Pen.
Yeah.
Or wherever close to him, whatever that means. But I know that he is definitely in the first run. He has been so ardent in his commitment and vocal that there's no way we could start it without ensuring that he's on the front line of that effort.
And that is a very significant name. But there's some good news. I was, by the way, talking to somebody yesterday, and he asked me, so how's the program going and thing? And he said, and I told him about the initiative. I said, that's what I'd be very interested in. So send me some paperwork. So we have some work to do in terms of
I hope that's why you overslept, because you stayed up. No.
No, I wouldn't have. No. That was
Can't
not,
give you that one either.
No, you can't give me that one either. But it's
Still working.
We're still working.
So hey, I've been just before we take the break, I want to mention something that is, I'll just mention it. On the front page, very much near the front page. Yes, the front page is Mr. Dalling, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Firearm Licensing Authority, given front page space to rebut the Auditor General's conclusion that there is a golden parachute in his employment contract, and that
Everybody else in the public sector
and
have
that the clause is not in keeping with fixed term contract officers' policy guidelines. It is such an unnecessary front page expose, because to his credit, Mr. Darling ends by saying that he is prepared to have his contract amended to bring it down to 2 weeks' notice instead of the current 3 months termination notice. But I think the real problem clause is the one that says if it is prematurely ended, he's entitled to get the value of the unexpired term of his contract, which could mean that if it ended in year 1 of 5, he gets 4 years pay, or year 2, he gets 3, and so on and so forth. They're like two other, the story continues on another page with the chairman saying that this clause in Mr. Dalling's contract was a holdover from his predecessor's contract. It is such kind of like a storm in a teacup. And I think it's one of the things we have to be careful about. If I were advising Mr. Darling, I would have said, leave it alone. And if you're open to an amendment, amend it. And when it is amended, just if you feel you need to say anything, and you shouldn't say anything, let your employer say, we've amended it. It was a legacy clause, which we thought was okay at the time. if the Auditor General, because the Auditor General, by the way, she does not do this deep audit of government agencies every year. So quite possibly she had never seen the predecessor's contract because she didn't audit during that time. So this is maybe the first time she's looked at it and she's speaking against it. We have to sort of learn to let the things that are of no moment, leave them right where they are. It is a part of maintaining a calm temperature. The word homeostasis came into my head. The body operates optimally with a certain basal environment. Um, if it's not a scandal and a corruption or something that require surgery, please just leave it alone. Um, and that's what I would say to persons who read it. It is much ado about nothing. The Auditor General is quite within her remit to express her interpretation of these contracts. The Lord knows we are tired of seeing people leave jobs and be better rewarded when they're leaving than when they were working.
in the job.
So she was quite right to highlight it. And I
And
want
that's
to
her
say
job. And that's
that is her job.
That
So
is
if
her
she's
job.
done her job and you think she's misguided, just deal with it quietly. We don't need everything to be on the front page. And the Gleaner, it must have been a slow news day. Oh, so I've gone past the break.
A
So
slow news day.
yes, I need to rein it in.
Behave
Please stay
yourself.
with us. Well, Percival is in the house now, so we have 3 mics. So when we open to speak with you, it's gonna be a great deal of fun. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Good morning and welcome back to the Morning Connection. Percival, what's the word that you bring? You've missed the first 5 minutes, but you can speak at any time.
That is the word that I bring.
Usually you say, and the Lord said.
Yo, yeah.
No, nothing?
No, but my thing continues to be the concept of light. The concept of light. And when light comes into your situation, and because the light that comes is it comes and dispels the darkness, but the light that we are speaking about is the light of the world, which we believe is Jesus. And when he came, he dispelled all darkness. And I just continue to encourage us, those who have encountered the light, to become light, to become light, to become light, to become salt in all of the situations. And then also, because that light has come for us, is that we will continue to be not afraid, but to walk in faith. And so that's just my simple encouragement to all of us all over Jamaica land that we love so much. Let's that be our hallmark this year, because we're really gonna need light in a lot of the situations, and we really are gonna need the wisdom, the understanding, and the knowledge. The entrance of your word brings light. So that's my simple encouragement to us. Those of our listeners who are living in
Darkness.
Canada,
In darkness.
in Canada, those of us who are living in England, around the world, in the US of A, let that light guide your path. And in terms of having that light, let it continue to shine, to dispel all of the darkness that is round about us, in regards to it. Another thing, I'm just looking at the headlines as we move towards opening the lines. Emergency cases only. Government rings alarm on COVID overload, yielding to pressure from doctors and nurses. A question that I ask, and I'm continuing to ask the question, the crippling healthcare worker job? That's a question that I ask. And if they have received the job, it means that they have some protection, but they can't be hospitalized, but they have to be pulled from the front line in regards to the fact that they are
Because they could still infect persons, not just COVID patients, because those are already infected, but the hospital environment has non-COVID persons there too.
Right.
But here's something that crossed my mind, Percival, as you asked that question, and I know it's a rhetorical question because most frontline workers have been vaccinated. I think there needs to be a letting go of the I'm gonna say the grudge, but you're not a grudge carrier. But for those who are still saying, but the government did confuse us, or we did have wrong information, or whatever. Now that we are seeing more credible information and things are settling down, and the environment is persons are reacting in a more reasonable way to the push and pull in the environment. Let us aim just to understand the truth of the situation and to work with that truth without going back to the days of confusion. I think. Did
I'm
you
in
say why?
agreement.
Okay.
Saying I'm in agreement to
Right,
this. So
because that
therefore,
is how you move forward.
therefore,
We
what
don't
it
want to be stuck in that place.
yeah, but therefore, what it means for all of us, and for all authorities around the world, we have been saying early treatment, alternative,
Preventative, boost your immune system.
abuse, but also in terms of early detection. Is it that we now can use other things that have now been proven, gone through all of the trials, and say if you do this, it works, instead of
Well,
people,
we were never stopped from using other things at the policy level. It was just that the narrative was so compellingly one-sided that other voices felt shut out. And
Felt
that's
shut out or was shut out.
well, there's been some censorship around the business of not disparaging the vaccine and the methodology of its creation and so on. The producer looks like has something to say.
Yeah, but it
Oh, I thought you said you wanted to weigh in.
No, I'm
No,
just listening to the conversation, and
to say
you
to
know,
people, it's the job, the job, they need to change that narrative too in terms of saying, okay, early treatment, if you have it, this is what you can do. Because some people clearly don't want to be jabbed.
Let me tell you, there's something that is happening out there that we need to change. We
Yeah.
need to change it urgently. This thing where people are feeling marginalized because
They're
they
not
don't
having to
take
see
the
the
vaccine and
yeah.
so on. There are persons who are vaccinated and they are treating the others who are not as if they have
They have
leprosy.
leprosy.
Or they have committed some gross
And, and,
offense.
and I mean, it's such an ignorant approach to this thing because who is the one who would be at more risk? Is it the one who is vaccinated or unvaccinated? And if the unvaccinated one decided that they are going to take their risk, then why should you make them feel that, boy, is the worst thing ever? No, I'm saying everybody must be responsible and protect themselves first and foremost. And there are genuine reasons, reasons that people have why they might not take it, or they might not take it at this time. You said yesterday, Minute, was the fact that you go to these centers, they tell you all the things about the vaccine, and you shouldn't smoke, you shouldn't drink, and those are all good and well. But what should I do?
How should
You
I
know,
eat? How
how
can
should
I
I
help
eat? And that's
myself at
one
the
of the problems
preventative
we have
level?
in this country. We are very quick to tell people what they shouldn't and what they can't do, as opposed to saying, okay, this is how you can do things. This is what you can do if you want to go a particular route. And that narrative needs to change.
So is that where civil society steps in and use its voice to communicate those messages? Because I think an invitation was made when at one point when the prime minister threw up his hand, an invitation was made for other voices to participate because the overall objective, and I have to believe that it is so, the shutting down initiatives and approaches that would be useful.
A part of the problem we have is that because we buy into other people's narrative, then we miscommunicate. This whole vaccine thing, when it started, well, the US will say, or all the other countries will say, get your people vaccinated, and that's what we're pushing. And we're not thinking about the interests of our people. We're thinking about the fact that some other power said to you that you must accomplish X amount by Y time. And I'm just giving an example because I don't know that to be a fact. But I'm just saying we need to start to think about the interests of our people. And when we speak to them in their interest, yeah, and not pushing any agenda that we have. Because at the end of the day, that is what it is about. We should be protecting our people and helping them to understand how they can protect themselves. And I think that's where we are failing.
Yeah, but you know, as you say that, one of the things, and it somebody said it was trans mass transformation psychosis. And when they said it, it broke the internet. These doctors were talking about how the narrative has so made people become irrational in terms of how they are thinking, like the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated, that divide. And then what has emerged is a lot of research by scientists who have said, a guy with a Germany said that this is so irrational because now you're picking up that the persons who have been vaccinated, in a lot of instances, even carry the viral load, have a greater viral load than the persons who are not. So that means they can greater spread it than others. So we just have to go back to the science because a lot of people in the public domain has said that the politics has taken over what the science is saying out there. And so in science, you have your hypothesis and you test it. But if there were contrary hypothesis in terms of what the science says about what is the understand behind of it, it shut down, it was censored. And it's so unfortunate because we believe that people, you need to have the information, need to make the science content, and at the end of it, let us come up with something that is science-based, that is not based on what the politicians are saying, because they have a different motivation.
There's such a thing as too much information.
Yeah.
TMI. And I think that is what is hitting our society these days. The truth is, the average Jamaican is not even interested in getting so deep into the science. People are interested in protecting themselves and remaining
Living their
healthy.
life, yeah.
And that is what we need to do. We need to break all of this thing that is going around. We need to break it down to the level where people can understand that, look, this is what I need to do in order to protect myself and my family. Let's stop that. Listen, when you look at all the various social media out there, you look at WhatsApp, you look at all of these things and everything that is floating around. And if you're not strong, I mean, everything seems
Back and feet
plausible,
out of my head.
right? So what does the common man do? Yeah, and then you have people now buying to this panic, where they're going out and say, "Boy, all I want to go take the vaccine," not even considering the fact that there are some persons who have legitimate reasons or genuine reasons as to why they can't take it. I never forget our experience when them say, "Oh yeah, take away the license and run the people them and make them go on instead of them jeopardizing the country." It's the same approach that we are taking, and it is something that is ingrained in our society that we need to deal with. All right, Minute, you're quiet.
A minute is quiet. But I'm just saying to us as we
like listening
go
as
through
well.
it. Wow.
Seems unbelievable.
Wow.
'Cause
I just
talk
said
so
wow.
much.
But it's true, as you
I
have said.
think
and
we have scared our online. I don't see them there.
Oh,
See Conrad.
oh,
Good
oh,
morning,
no, no,
Conrad.
no.
But we're just saying to
They're missing.
people with this community, people like who have said that they will. Oh yeah, remember early in the program when we're talking about it, one of our online persons, he's gonna donate a projector.
Or projector.
So we have So he's gonna take us on, and he's a man of his word.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Talk
Yeah,
about
he's
him.
on. Welcome, Conrad. Always good to see you. Toronto in the building again. I think he entered twice.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So we just need to change the narrative, and we need to stop the leprosizing of persons the vaccine versus unvaccinated, if there's such a word,
Yeah. But that world is gonna resolve itself in
And
a
it's been
fairly
resolving.
organic way.
And it's been doing that.
Yeah, I
It's been
think
doing
that is what will happen. So here are some things that we have to be mindful of as we look at this manufactured divide and rule,
Mhm.
I guess, approach. Um, the Minister for Tourism has made the point that hotels, COVID hit hotels, are dying under loan burden,
What is that?
and says the IDB Invest Corporation has had to throw a $200 million lifeline to the Bahia Principe Hotel. And needless to say, it's not just the Bahia Principe, but many other hotels that have
And it
that
said,
owe
Diana,
money.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So it's
Yeah.
money that is owed.
Money that is owed, that without ongoing business, they will fall into arrears, just like how many Jamaicans will fall into arrears in paying their mortgages, their car loans, their so on and so forth. What is for sure is that we're gonna be seeing again adjustments in the because how do I put this? There's another story that says employment is back to. Sometimes you wonder, employment rebounds to pre-pandemic mark. Jamaica's unemployment rate has returned to pre-pandemic levels, marking robust recovery after COVID-19 decimated the job market, leaving more than 100,000 jobless at the heights of the outbreak. That's during the lockdowns, I guess. Kind of let's brace ourselves. You're going to see a kind of a domino effect as our neighbors to the north and countries elsewhere that from which we get goods and services and visitors, as they struggle to cope with what's happening in their borders COVID wise, naturally it's going to affect us. And you're going to see rising prices. We're already seeing that, but it will continue. Then whether or not persons even have a job, the job will not be the well-paid work that you find when you leave school. So there are some things ahead of us coming out of what's happening outside of Jamaica. So, tourism, which has continued to be our chief income earner, foreign exchange income earner, has a little bit more struggling to do. We see that. And unless the IDB is going to just write off loans or whatever it is, there comes a time when doors are going to be shuttered and there are going to be some serious fallout. We are still at that place where Jamaicans need to be working together at the community level to feed themselves. Because at the end of the day, more than anything else, you need to be able to feed yourself. Maybe you can do without electricity. Maybe you don't need to buy as much gas to run your car on the road. Or maybe a lot of carpooling will take place. Suffice it to say, I do see a lot of collaboration and teamwork as a being essential to survival in the next year or two, or maybe even 3 years. My hope is that if we are forced to work together in these enriching ways, it will become a habit. It will stick. And sometimes that might, you may think, I certainly think that would be the best result of this pandemic. I want to open the lines if for even just a few minutes before we get to the 8 o'clock break. Yesterday we left, I gave myself a reminder to at least solicit some feedback on, the Prime Minister's statutory declaration has been published at long last.
Late in the game.
Yes.
The other one is due now.
After the mass psychosis where we're just so over it that it really doesn't matter.
It don't matter anymore.
It don't matter anymore.
But even as we wait for our first call to come in, the money that you speak about, it's going to DR. It's not government. It's IDB.
IDB invest
in projects like
you have
that.
switch horses. Sorry.
No, it's the same thing she was talking about.
Oh, because she mentioned the Prime Minister's.
No, man. We just
he did
added,
switch horse. He
We
switched
just
horse.
adding that to it. In regards to
I don't
that.
want to start it to it just yet because those are things we need to address.
No,
Let me tell you, we're at a stage in our country where our leaders don't lead by example.
at a stage, or that has always been the
Right?
example.
Well, yeah,
true.
but and it's something that we should never gloss over.
Mhm.
Never gloss over. I mean, we've been battling how many persons, Jamaicans, who are called to account for what they do, whether to the tax authority or wherever else, right? And then they are held to account, and yet still our leaders don't play by the same rules.
But that is a part of the same thing, my brother, of the two Jamaicans. It feeds into that narrative, I would say, and I'm in total agreement with you. There must be one law for everybody. We call everybody to book, but then our leaders get away, get a bly, as we'd call it in Jamaica. And that is a part of the problem we have, and that is a part of the rot that we have in our country.
Well, I'll tell you this: when I see what was declared,
Mhm.
the Prime Minister, I know if he was Minister of Finance, chances are we would all be out of debt by now. Because when you, over such a short space of time, amass that level of wealth based on the kind of salary or whatever that you gain, then certainly the country can learn from that.
So he should share the secret.
You should share the secret, yeah.
Share the
secret.
It's interesting. I saw something on Facebook yesterday
Yeah.
that I don't know if that is true or not. So I don't know sources in terms of his secret was investment in Bitcoin. I don't know that he was sharing it. So, I don't know.
Oh,
I saw
No,
that thing and I said,
listen,
"Is this real? Is it for real?" I don't. Well,
now that they've published it and some kind of summary of it, we can all look at the
where it comes from.
the Gazette to see exactly what was published. You have to wonder, what was it that preoccupied the Integrity Commission for so long?
For so long, because Peter Phillips, who had issued is a long time ago and was cleared in July last year, I'm assuming that the Prime Minister had also submitted his own, and that took 6 months for clearance.
Well, and the next question is, Now that they've published it, does it mean that the issue has been resolved to the extent that no further questions need arise?
I think that's what happened when they publish it. If it is published and gazetted, them said there are no questions that need to be asked.
Interesting.
That's how it works, isn't
yeah.
it? Yes.
Well, I want to them stop me from asking the question.
No, man, no, I'm not saying anybody can ask any question,
All right,
but
we have a caller online.
yeah.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning. Morning to you, nice people.
Thank
morning,
you.
sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, man. The salary of the Prime Minister, the publisher of the Prime Minister's integrity report here.
Mm.
You know, it's a long time I was wondering because I remember this Prime Minister never have a high paying job from leave university, you know. And if you check his salary as a Prime Minister, as one of your both said, it should educate us all about how to go about getting wealth, because in this short period of time, if he can accumulate so much wealth, then he need to share
Yeah,
this.
man. You have a strategy there that it should be his duty to
Yeah,
share
man, he
it.
should share it with us, man, so that we too can,
Move
embark
from 7 million to...
activities, so we can get maybe we won't be getting so much wealth, but at least we can get more money than we have right now.
Yes.
Not being so poor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But that is one of the problems we have in this country now. Too much people in this country have unexplained wealth.
Mm.
You know? And it's at all levels of the society. At all levels. If the people, a man with my little figure, he himself, boy, I do a little business, and that's when he seems gone up at the hills, gone live.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you, as a ordinary man, go to have a 9-to-5 job and you work for 40 odd years. And when you retire, the money will then take from you for your pension. When you're supposed to get it back, they must tell you all kind of happy and comfort, and the money that they give you can buy cabbage porridge.
Yeah.
I just see people who don't work. Them just have a little share, them have a little. I pass some store sometimes at the Portmore Mall. When I look in at the store, I don't see nobody at all inside. And every week they pay them, every month they can pay
They
them
can pay rent and
all that type of thing there.
keep their business
How that thing
open.
happen?
Yes. Yeah, well.
Them did have a backup plan in terms
Back
of
up
the
some of them is 10 years and 15 years they are there,
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And when I never pass there and I do a store and looking at the people in there buying anything.
Aye.
Oh,
No,
yet
but-
them work every day.
Yeah, no, your point is
It's a
solid.
it's a
There
solid
are a
point.
lot of people doing things that, and not to say it's illegal, but certainly some of us get audited each time we sneeze, and there are others who just seem to be invisible to the tax authorities.
There is a minister in a government minister come from very, very humble beginning. I have experience. I know people who know that man.
Yes.
Very, very poor. And the man is one of the richest man in the country right now. And in politics for probably say 10 years or 15 years.
Well, we need his playbook also.
Exactly. Yeah, man. It's about time they come forward and share what they're doing so that the country can benefit from
Yes.
it.
And in this country, when you talk, people say, boy, I grudge people for them out. It's not grudge.
Yeah, but this publication by the Integrity Commission raises more questions now. The fact that it's published, now I have more questions. When you see what they've published, what could have detained them for so long? And now that they've published, are we shut out?
I have said that at the time, that this Integrity Commission is a joke, because let me tell you why I said it's a joke. Jamaica is a very small country. Most of those people are in the Integrity Commission, if you don't mind, all of them go to the same church.
And know each other.
Them drink at the same bar, and they are acquainted with each other. If we want a good Integrity Commission to work, we have to broaden the scope. Go to Barbados, we go to Trinidad, we go to Guyana, we go to Antigua, and recruit people to come and serve in these things. And And after we get the thing going for maybe 10 years and establish it, then we can start to put in some Jamaicans in it.
You know, in the
But
science, in
right now, if it's just pure Jamaicans in there, we're not going to get nothing good up. Come on. The only one man I see in that commission look like him when we do anything is Greg Christie.
My brother, it is unfortunate that that is a suggestion that you have to put forward, and I understand why you do it. You know, but the truth is, we need to fix the problems.
Yeah, man.
We
I'm
need
a
to
fix the
fix the
problem, man.
problems
Remember, you know,
because
America had that same problem with crime and things in the 30s and the
yeah,
40s when they
and they
formed the
fix it.
FBI, you know.
They didn't go
But
for people externally to fix
they
it.
have a wide cross section of people. They could go to Texas and take a man from New York, which is thousands of miles away. They don't know each other, and they form the FBI and so on. We need to find a way
Yeah, man.
to recruit people
Yeah, man.
and do put in some of these institutions that they form in.
Yeah.
in the scientific community, there's a way that they use double-blind studies to maintain the anonymity of the subject and to ensure that there's no contamination. There are ways that you can use the same people here to look at information and make assessments without the risk that knowledge and relationships would give you a perverse result. Anyway,
We
we're
have to
at the
take a
break.
break,
We've
so.
gone past the break. So I don't know if you can release us so we can do our duties to the station.
Yeah, I have something to talk about later, and I call you back another. I
No
call you back.
problem. You
Yeah,
know
man.
that
Yeah, man.
that
Okay.
door is open. All right. Thank
Okay.
you. Please stay with us. We are going to take our break and then be right back.
I was being prophetic in regards to this. But even as we continue to look at what's happening in the paper, one of the things, Bernard gets his judicial review today. The permanent secretary is at the source of the whole, I think, the Ministry of Education and Information. That's what it was. He has his review today because remember in 2019 was just reassigned and they took it to the court and said, but you can't do this to me. So it's the commission, the Public Services Commission, that is going to reassign him. So he's took it to court to say, oh, something wrong with that. Attorney, client, or godfather. You need to comment on that. Your very good friend, Governor, is speaking.
Yes, I agree with him. And I'd said that already. The only complaint that one could make about the appointment of Derek McCoy to be Attorney General is that I think he had retired. He must have retired. He's, I think, 71 or something like that. Looks remarkably good. When I saw the picture, it didn't look like 71. We have a caller. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Morning.
Good morning, Wayne.
We're coming for you, Wayne. We're coming for you, Wayne. We're coming for you.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning, brother.
The UIC.
Mm-hmm.
When is the local government election? So called, right?
February, end of February.
Yeah, constitutionally due in February, but I think the Prime Minister would no doubt be watching what's happening with COVID. I think he had said he would not imperil the health of the population by going into an election.
But I still, you see me born a fire still as you to born and growing at Kingston there, and so when me say I know,
Mm-hmm.
and I listen everything I go on. These people must just resign still, you know. If they want to help the country, after them fail, them go up on the side and do what them can do, because they say people can repent, people can look at themselves and try to do better than what them never did do. You know, but you see this UIC, I think we should support it though. Yeah, I call for the people them to support Mr. Patterson. You know, yeah. Really that me I say in the morning.
Yes.
But otherwise, people educate themselves, love learn, and Singapore not even big like Sam catching, and them a produce more food and I make money off of food out there in the world than Jamaica. And Singapore is supposed to have a piece of rock or something like that, you know. So
It's possible.
These political leaders fail us in everywhere. Educationally, productively, name it, morally, name it, you know. So we need a change, and
Well,
I think this party is a party that we can rally around.
I'm hoping to see something from the UIC so people can begin to look at the alternative that they represent. They need to publish their slate of candidates, and they need to be engaging with the people so that their potential can be better understood. But I understand.
And I love you
saying.
call them up again, you know, call up Mr. Patterson again as you done before and make a hear from him again, because as him saying, the media, the media's mostly not really a tell of his story, you know, them not work, them are work create the two party them.
Well, I tell you, when there's news, the media will find it. All right, my brother, thanks very much. We have another caller on the line, so let's move to that. Thanks very much. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay. Thanks for taking my call. That's a very interesting question as to the Prime Minister and others can tell us how they acquire wealth in such a short time. That's a very good question, and we really love to know how they manage to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. I have a personal question. I don't know how. I'm calling from St. Bess. And I have a situation. I have a sister who owned a property in St. Bess, and she died. But before she died, she had transferred her the land that the house is on. She had transferred the
title?
house to her daughter-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
In order to avoid her husband, whom she was divorcing, getting hold of it.
Yes.
And now, while she transferred the house to her daughter-in-law, she retained the land in her name. Right. So now the daughter-in-law is making claim on the making claim on the property itself, which is still in my sister's name. She's making claim to the property, and she hasn't paid any tax on it. I know that because I am the one who paid the tax.
All right. So the legal definition of land in Jamaica includes any permanent buildings that are sitting on it.
And okay. But
so unless it's a chattel house that you could put on a trailer bed and move it, the house and the land stays in the title.
Okay, but on the property tax, it has her name separate from that house. Just it does her name, my sister's name on the land.
So let me explain something about property tax, and this is without attempting to give you legal counsel.
Right.
Whomever pays the property tax, the government will correctly record the name of the payer.
Right.
People tend to pay property tax in an effort to build a case for adverse possession or squatters' rights. 12 years of undisturbed possession, those receipts become a part of their case. But the determining factor for land ownership, if it is registered land, is the name on the title.
Is the name on the title?
Yes.
So the person who is claiming, because what has happened is that the person whose name this thing was transferred to, that is the daughter-in-law, she is English. She doesn't live in Jamaica. Doesn't know anything about Jamaica. She has never paid the taxes, but she's getting the court in England to rule
on land in Jamaica. To rule on land in Jamaica, or your sister was living in England.
My sister was living in England, but she owned the
all right.
Here.
It sounds as if you do need the assistance of an attorney at law, because whatever judgment is made in England needs to be registered in Jamaica. And if that judgment is inconsistent with the laws of Jamaica, then the registration would most likely fail. But you would have to get the assistance of a lawyer to take you through that.
Okay, but generally the court, an English court, cannot overrule the court in Jamaica on such matter.
No, except for the Privy Council, and it would have to be the same matter going there on appeal.
Okay, well,
yeah, that is one of the meanings of sovereignty.
Okay.
That the decisions of your court are binding locally, and a foreign judge has no jurisdiction here unless the Constitution gives them jurisdiction.
Okay.
All right, my friend. Happy hunting.
Thank you.
Get a good lawyer and sort out your land issue.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Do we have another call on the line? Oh, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, sir.
Santa Claus.
First, I'm going to talk about the Prime Minister. Remember, he said every Jamaican should have a big house.
Yeah, man. Every Jamaican should have a big house.
Yes, he said that when they were asking about where he got the money to build that
his
house.
Big house.
You remember?
Yes. And it is
so
that is right.
I think he should share with us how to make some good money in this country too.
Yes. Yes.
And the other thing, I hear people calling about Patterson all the time, Mr. Patterson. Where did he went to school?
Jamaican overseas.
Where overseas?
Are you putting in a plug for Mr. Patterson?
Why do you ask?
Because most of our leaders' education are overseas, either England or the United States. So I think they're the same people. So when they call in for Patterson, I don't know if he's even different. I don't see what difference he will make. Some guy just don't come with a pretty speech and then everybody fall for it.
But are you saying by virtue of the fact that most of these leaders are educated overseas, then they all think the same way?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And I disagree with you
But
on
that can't be so,
That
my
can't be
friend.
so.
It is so.
No,
Check the
man.
last 100 years.
No, that's
No.
your
Maybe one out
All
of
right.
a
So let me ask you this then.
thousand made different,
they're
like
all-
a Garvey or a Manley.
They say that Jamaicans, some will say that Jamaicans misbehave more than anybody else, right? You would include yourself in that.
I went to the farmer and I break every rules on the farmer, but good rules. Me and my boss follow 2 times and he send back for me.
Okay.
I went to the farmer 14 times and I was always requested, but I break the right rule. I
Because
break
you have a-
the
because you
rule
have-
that
Because you have a good
He always-
attitude work.
So you were the exception, eh?
Yeah.
But I would like to
Right.
know. I would like to know what is the weakness in this thinking that has been common to all these foreign educated leaders.
it's the education that
They don't. What? How? How was it manifested in the leadership?
most of them are foreign minded. Is he a clean shave man? Yes.
He's a what?
Clean shave.
Yeah, but you're doing some profiling which is so unacceptable of person.
No, it is not. It's
No,
the
but
truth.
I want to hear. I want to hear the rationale for it. I mean, you're describing things from the outside. Give me some of what
Ye-
you see
In
coming
this-
out of the
in
heart of these
the heart of
people
the man, yes,
that we
correct.
should reject, or maybe we can change something in how we engage with them.
Look, I
So
I come
the
close
first thing you
with-
said, they're foreign-minded, meaning that they care more about the word, the objectives, what people from outside say than what we in Jamaica say. That's what you mean by foreign-minded?
Not exactly,
Then
but
explain it for me.
Most people that are educated in foreign, like most of who is on the radio now and TV, especially the TV I watch, they're more foreign minded. They accept the foreign style of living. So what
So,
I'm
and is
saying,
that
it's
bad?
the same thing we're gonna have all the time.
Is
The
it
same
bad?
kind of leader.
Are you saying it's bad? It's not progressive. It don't push Jamaicans to aspire for more, to reach higher, to be better educated. I'm trying
Right.
to understand
And-
it.
Yes, and the other thing I'm talking about, most of these leaders, they all join the same secret society, which is owned by the white man. I talked
But
about
is-
that the other day.
Yeah, but
to
is
you,
it
Miss
because
Emmett.
they study overseas, or because these secret societies are here and are open to local businessmen and women who don't study overseas?
Right. So they're all friends and brother and sister in those
So
secret society.
where would we choose our leaders then? What is the education? What's the pool from which you want to see your leaders emerge?
What I'm trying to say, it's we will be lucky to get another good leader, maybe the next 20 or 50 years, that we can look up and say, yes, this is the right person.
So do we just sit back and wait, my brother, because you're not putting forward any suggestion?
What? No, the reason why I call in, I hear
Yeah.
this guy always a call about Patterson, like
But-
he's the great.
Yeah,
Like-
but
like a
I'm
Jesus
trying
said.
I'm trying to shift you to where you express your objection, so that those who themselves are saying, "Why this man always a talk about Patterson," and they too have a knee-jerk reaction against it, that they can examine their thoughts and say, you know what, if not Patterson, maybe we want to look for somebody who study in UWI, is a Rasta man,
Yeah, Bongo
build up,
Percy,
you
for
know, you
example.
build up a profile like a Bongo Percy. He's not clean shaven this morning, by the way. So maybe, you're talking about a profile.
Yeah,
What
but-
is the
No,
profile
no,
of
profile.
a
Look,
desirable
look,
leader?
Look,
Santa.
Rasta in this country is just divided like the JLP and the PNP and everybody else.
So
And
not
exactly.
a man with locks who's wearing beard.
I'm talking about both Rasta and dreadlocks. They're divided.
Yeah.
They
All right,
do
Santa,
like
Santa,
almost everybody else.
Santa. Let me ask, what in your mind? Let me shift the conversation. What is the profile of what our leaders should be like? Just quickly.
Right now,
Yeah. What is your profile
a,
of?
ex- extreme left.
Oh, an extreme left person, somebody have far left principles in terms of how they should govern.
Meaning plenty
Yes,
socialism.
And educated in
yes,
Jamaica.
Yeah. Okay.
yes.
I got you, my
That's
brother.
the only way I see this country going to build.
Yeah,
All right,
because
my
we,
brother.
we need
Thank
a
you
lot
very
of
much.
investment in social services. So I think
That's the
I get you.
only
I
way.
get you.
That's what I wanted to say at the first.
I get
right,
you,
thank you,
sir.
my friend. I
Finally,
appreciate it.
we're good. All right. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Yeah, good morning to folks.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, is it that within the newspaper, the information and the Prime Minister's funds are supported?
It was there now. It was
Yeah, but
published.
but understand what the newspaper did was they conducted a review and did an article on it,
Yeah.
where it's published in the Gazette. So if you can find the Jamaican Gazette,
Oh.
yeah, something is published in the Gazette.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
that's where you would need to go. So if you just type in Jamaica Gazette publications you should find it.
All
You
right.
should find it.
Yeah. The other topic now is this gentleman that was speaking a while ago.
Yes.
What we need to know is that, yes, sometimes you might skeptic about where a man is educated, and if he comes with the baggage from the colonial masters and so forth. What we need right now is a change, and why we need a change. Any change will show the revolution at the mind of the people within Jamaica. And we need that revolution change.
Yes.
In a sense that if Mr. Patterson does win the local government election, since we don't have any other alternatives at the moment, because the Marcus Garvey party is structured and ready for it. What will happen is that these two parties will now see that the people of Jamaica is willing to try something.
Something new, right.
Yes. So what we need to do, don't bother talk about the UIC and what Mr. Patterson and anything clean shave. Because I am a Rasta, I mean, I talk about no clean shave man and no this and that. The man can do the work, put him up.
Give him a chance.
Yes, give him a chance. And we need to give someone else a chance. Use the local government to prove to the ministers, the central party, that we are willing to make the change.
Yeah.
So make it from here in the local government. Because you see, if we make it, one of the things where we know, most of them can't work without local government, you know.
No, because that's the field force. But and local government can't work without the budget. So it forces a collaboration. And people would have to be watching it and monitoring it and pulling persons into an accountable frame of mind. So then everybody would have to participate.
Definitely so.
Yeah.
You know, one of the change where I want to see, you see, when local government is choosing the councillors, from amongst the councillors, you're supposed to choose someone to go to parliament to represent local government. Not central government choosing one of them central person to be the leader of. Like Mr. Mackenzie, you know. He never run a local government. He not a part of local government, but him are the minister.
It was on
If
me.
you choose one of the councillors to go up there.
So a councillor should be, yes. I see what you're saying.
So we need to look at that in the
We should have
constitution
local
and
government, real local government representation in decision-making quarters. That would be something we look at in the Constitution, because the Constitution determines who sits in Parliament and who's a senator and so on and so forth. All right, my brother, I'm making a note of it.
Just one more thing I want to look at.
Yeah, go ahead.
War and diet. It is a title of a book, I believe. Yeah, it is a title of a book. You remember yesterday when I talked to you about the hyper something where the word
Hypoglycemia.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you said it's war and diet.
War and Diet, I believe a book is out there that we need to see if we can get that book, get a read it and see what it say about that same
how diet affects people during wartime or how wars can be conducted through empty belly. All right, my brother.
All right. So,
I
so
know it. They
we
say
need to
that a
start because
soldier, they say what? An army marches on its belly, on its stomach.
yes,
What you
yeah,
feed them determines what you're going to get out of them.
you're right.
All right, my brother.
So
Thank you so much. We're going to take the break now. It is
yeah,
8:30. So,
okay.
yeah. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Back to the morning connection. We have a caller on the line, so let's go straight to it. Good morning, caller. Welcome to
Yeah,
the morning
I'm on
connection.
again.
Ah,
Yes, this gentleman, Mr. Patterson.
yes.
What do we know about him?
Not enough
Is he?
as yet.
We have to. You see, we were following the same chapter. You see, one of the problem I have with us as Jamaicans, you know. A man just come in the middle of us and him come with some little sweet word and the word. Remember, you see the church people, a man just come and build up a church. Everybody just go there and them show them money and that. Look, the guy done a man to go be there. Nobody nobody check out people what they are about, you know. This man practice, we don't know what he means. So we will add another man to the two that we have already, the two parties that we have already get. But we know that he's not just another man that come, another opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Well,
when he came on the program, Enlightened,
yeah,
he gave us a bit of background, and they have a web page, and based on what he says, they have a lot of persons working with them. And so you can do your investigation, you can call him and ask him the question.
No, we don't want to hear from him, you know. We want to, you see, like America, remember when Barack Obama was running for president, you know, them could have telephoned him at 9-year-old what he used to do, you know.
And the same thing the gentleman said when he came on the program and we spoke to him, he gave us a bit of history about himself.
Different point the caller is making. The caller is saying Jamaicans in their quest for change need to do the work of discovering who exactly it is. Yeah, you don't really go off what he says.
Right.
You do the research between the journalists and the the gatekeepers. They go do the research.
So you can become a gatekeeper, you know, Enlightened, and go talk to the man, and then you start to check, because I'm sure you have a wide network of persons who you can call and ask in terms of who
we want to find out this Spanish because in my opinion, you know.
Mm-hmm.
we just believe that we must just elect a man and then the man just must govern the country, And we not do anything at all. We just follow the hand after we go to the polls.
And I agree with you, I agree with you 100%.
And that has to change.
Yeah, so what I hear you saying, we have to do the work. We have to ask the right and hard questions. And then I'm sure, Enlighten, you have lived long enough and you can talk to different people and say what you think and find hard questions. Because everything must be held up to scrutiny. That's what you say.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I want to find out much more about this, man, because I am talking something where I do even them things as possible, but in getting traction by some of the things that he's saying.
Okay.
And I am not one of those individuals who just listen to a man say, because for too long, we want too much poor people are going to politics nowadays, Too much hungry man are going to politics nowadays, man. And them going and look what you see, one of them get rich.
Well, so that's the problem, really. What they do when they get there, it's not that they're poor, because many of us start poor and do honest, hard labor, give from the heart, and we do good work, and we're not unjustly enriched.
Yeah, but
I don't want it to sound like we're saying all poor people who go into politics.
No, yeah, but I want to see the Norman Manley and the Michael Manley type of leaders. Me don't because of what they were saying. I want to see those type of man. And
what is the thing about them?
I going to tell Jamaica now that I personally want to Jamaica. You know why?
I'm having money already.
Mark Holding as a man rich already and him having money already, and his lifestyle tells me that him is not interested in wealth steal from the Jamaican people. That's the man I want to see. That's the one man I want to see become the Prime Minister.
All right. So for you, the main characteristic is the person must be independently wealthy, so there is no temptation to steal. Because you think that wealthy people are not tempted to steal.
Yeah, because listen, for a man to leave with the comfort of where him live and go down at jungle here, go say my representative when he don't have to. It is not opportunist. Too much opportunities in this country. People just want to ride on the back of poor people.
My dear sir, I admire the purity of your thinking. But in my experience, a lot of rich people steal more than any poor person can ever steal. And most times they get away with it because nobody expects them to steal. But I like the point you're making about independently wealthy or comfortable so that they are not under stress when they are serving.
Yes, my lady, but we can see the lifestyle of some rich people and know that you have some rich poor people,
Yes.
There are some people that are rich, but poor so you're on the money them have,
So you're shifted on me in a very admirable direction, because you're saying wealth is not just a matter of money.
Yeah.
And the richness that you're speaking about goes beyond
the character. Character.
Yeah.
Integrity.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right.
I get you. That is a great point. Thank you so much.
Man, that's my point.
All right, cool. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Africa love, my sister and brother.
Africa love.
Producer.
Yes, sir. Morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm there, my brother. You know, the part of the program is when the community topic came up,
Yes.
I believe that in 60 years we should have a global community development through these two parties. And I believe that will be a priority to the politicians and the leaders.
Yes.
A global community developed, just like the producer speak of the playing field, community center.
Mm-hmm. But you'd have experienced that, Ross, based on your age. You would have experienced that based on your age.
Right. You know what I mean? And this is what lacking. And then there is also a better than you system or a richer than you system. While all human beings are equal.
True. Okay. I mean a mindset. Yeah. I'm better than you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in the mindset, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one thing, you know what I mean? And that creates a difference in thinking,
True.
you know what I mean? Right? And even the virgin that talk about education in England and America.
Foreign education.
One would realize that we have been educated through a colonialism system.
In other words, being educated in Jamaica don't give you an advantage because the colonial influence is still strong in our education system.
Yeah, it's spread.
Yeah, got you.
You know what I mean? Right? So it don't matter where we're educated, whether in England or America.
Or Russia or China or Cuba.
Yeah, we're all been. No, if we put Russia in that's a different thing.
Says the Kremlin.
Says the Kremlin.
Cuba is also a different thing, you know what I mean? Right. You know what I mean? But we're all been brainwashed.
You know, one of the biggest problems we face is that we don't take responsibility. We have divested our responsibilities to the politician. Yeah? We don't step up and say, listen, let us start the change. You know, there's this feeling that, boy, one man can't make a difference. And my brother, let me tell you something. I reject that thing more than anything else in this world.
That's not true.
Because usually it's a one man that make the difference. And the thing is, we keep complaining about the politicians, but then we have divested our responsibility to them.
To them.
So it's about time we take it back, you know.
Here now. This is the virgin of the start. I text a man in my first cousin, you know.
Yes.
And the thing, him have a replace. Where I say now, the same force.
Yes.
Where is there where I mislead the people and I mash up the country. None of these, all I do is get them time, you know, to make Jamaica better, you know.
Yes.
These two systems. I look on the man now, PJ. Him are the longest reigning politician. And all of him reigning. I never hear him talk about reparation yet, you know. I never hear this man talk about reparation. And he's listening, you know, because a strategy he put in, you know. He want to hear some sort of feedback. Right?
Yeah.
But he would have fight certain things where reparation is concerned. He would have agree with the guy that come in a Jamaica from England and I say we must forget this and way.
Oh.
Tony Blair.
Mike Henry walk out of that parliament. You understand me? Right? No, listen. We cannot survive without resources. Right? And we have been through one of the wickedest evil. You understand me? Poverty is not a thing where it come like a good quake, you know, or a storm. Poverty is what man made. Poverty,
you know.
So we personally, you know, we are like a total change. Like from us, a people's government. Make the people them feel themselves now.
Interesting.
You know,
that is a good note on which to
my
wrap
brother,
up.
let's
Make the people, allow the people them to feel themselves.
Yeah.
Now. All of them to come out of this. And what you know, is because of their greed. No, if you notice the two parties, it's turning a family thing now, you know.
Oh yes. Yeah, man. And then you will see the son appear and you see the cousin. But my brother, let me tell you something. You are right in everything that you have said, you know. And we need to just let the change start with each and every one of us. Let's reach out to our neighbor, no, man, because let us not everybody sit down and say, boy, them people over there, so. Come on, it's about time we start to look inside of the mirror.
And take responsibility.
And deal with it.
Be the change that you want to see.
Every children.
Yes.
It came to community.
All right, Russ Kremlin. We have another caller on the line, so we're going to have to deal with that caller. But thank you for your input. One love.
Yes, man.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello.
We had another caller on the line.
But you know, the point
Press
that
still
he's
attack.
the point that he's been making is very, very important in regards to persons taking responsibility for themselves. I said there's something
About
that
a year where I'm saying.
Oh, good
The point
morning.
is,
yes.
good morning.
Morning, Swain.
Yeah. Mr. Patterson, the first time I hear a good speech of him,
Mm-hmm.
you know, him talk of himself is on this program,
True.
right? And listen to what him say. And I'm not against anything what him say, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's a good, I mean, I say now, a good companion for us to make a change. You know, for us to make a change in this country. So as Shepard said, speak more about him, understand more about him. And the point is, we have to take responsibility, you know, because no matter who are going, unless we the people know ourselves, know our rights, know the responsibility we need to take, and make sure that the right thing happens, because if we there, thing their way or them friend way, if we the people did really stand up, look into ourselves, look what is happening, and take responsibility and take stands, it will reach where it is now.
Well, you know, notwithstanding the cut and thrust of the conversation, we all bear in mind and know that persons will make a choice. We want them to make an informed choice. And some of what you're hearing from others is let's get the information, proper information about
Yeah.
this man who is offering himself up, and then we take a decision. And our job, yours included, is to have the discussion that expose the issues and open people's minds so that they can be more inquiring and exercise a lot more discernment when we make the choices come election day, whenever that is.
And we love when you block the speech, you know, God. When we hear the president talk about rich man and independent, and when you come out and you say some of the most thief you know are the thiefest set of people you know are the rich people.
But
because when
you
me
see,
block that speech, that me I say, you know.
Yeah, but
Them are the most
I assume
thiefest.
the best. I know his heart.
You know?
What he wants is people of integrity who are not distracted by
we need to
certain
know
things,
what
and
is
that's what all of us
integrity,
want.
what is moral quality, and we all stand up for it. Because we all have to do it still, you know. You know, and if some people in the position over the years that create corruption, they're not going to let us so easy, you know, because they're turn on upon them.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Good contribution, sir. Thank you as always. Do we have another caller? Good morning. Welcome to the Morning
morning.
Connection. Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's Santa Cruz again.
Welcome, Santa Cruz again.
Yes, I left my number and name with the
engineer.
What's the name? The
engineer.
Yes, I need to talk to one of you guys. Well, I'd prefer talk to Miss Minute, but I don't want his husband, her husband. Just joking. Just joking.
We'll call you together.
Our pastor, anyone here, because I have something to say about what I was talking about this morning, especially Mr. Patterson.
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
You know?
All right, thank you. Okay. We'll give you a call.
I know him, but there's this island that Jamaican keep talking about that they came down here and study what we do. What's your name again?
Singapore.
What's your name again?
Oh, it's Singapore?
Yeah.
Singapore.
Singapore. Jamaicans will never do what Singapore do.
So the autocratic leader.
The type of people we have, it will never work here. It's going to need a lot of education.
And change.
And discipline.
Yes.
To do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I hear big politicians talking about Singapore, the couple from us, and look where they reach.
And we're right.
Come on. Those people aren't smart.
Yes. Yeah.
Who is not smart?
Okay.
No, point well made, sir.
Your point is taken.
Yeah. All right, my brother. We'll give you a call once we're off air.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning, Mrs. Ryan.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Pastor, and morning to Mr. Ryan.
Yeah, man.
Morning, sir.
I think let me tell you something. Yeah, it's good to listen to people complain because obviously you know what they are feeling. But I believe what is the real problem here, you know, the first thing we need to do, change the Constitution
have people there, and you said to them, after 2 years, if you're not doing the things to benefit Jamaicans, just pack your bag and go.
So that is the right to recall an elected official.
Right. There's none of these politicians, whether Mark Golan or TDS, none of them have one objective them have. Because what I noticed, as the guy said earlier, a politician come lean up booth and them own half St. Thomas, half of St. Elizabeth. How is it that the Jamaican people them are so unfortunate that all of these politicians have the magic one for themselves and them friends and them families?
Yeah. And also they only seem to find it when they enter politics.
Thank you. So the only simple 1 year, we set up the house. 2 years, you're supposed to walk in the path. PATH of Jamaican people. You know, I would want a Jamaican that people in Norbrook and Churchill can invest in Riemann. From 1962, Michael Manley PG Patterson Fiaga this country for much years, and Maxfield Avenue, doing the 8.5 years to develop these places, this green fence. I always say, who have money like PG, and I'm still getting a prime minister salary, so with the love for the Jamaican people, they are all the same thing. I believe that they should give this guy a chance. Simple as that, and no question.
Well, he needs to put himself forward, so there is still some. He has to present his slate of candidates and engage with people so we know who he is and what he's looking for. And that move has to come from him.
Yeah.
A willing candidate is what we're looking for. So he has to put himself out there. Once he does, obviously, there's a lot of interest.
Mark Golan, what? If Mark Golan loves
That's one voice. Yeah. But that's one voice, you know, in an environment where we have freedom to choose.
Yeah.
But we here look to encourage informed choices. So you can get the information and have the best quality information and make your choice.
We keep doing the same thing over I expect results. Obviously, these politicians are not there for Jamaica. They are there for the Queen, the Governor General, and friend, and them family. Just look at it. Look who's these guys get told. Mike Henry, Colonel Charles, and what they do, sending them daughter and them son. Because obviously, they must have a least Jamaican people. Tell me, what is it? What is the method?
So it's one thing for them to send, you know. It's one thing for them to send, but who we accept?
Look, let me divert a little bit. Look at the police force. I am not free to give police credit. Look at the police force. We are talking about solved crime with 12,000 police. Among 3 million people, almost 3,000 BC and 3,000 soldiers. That makes sense to you as a highly intelligent woman in front of your husband and beside pastor. That makes sense. And you're saying you have 30 police in Apathy Square. Stand up. Harass decent law-abiding citizens, give them tickets and they can follow them woman and I look woman and I profile and I attack on start crime. Really now?
Plenty work to be done, my brother.
Yeah, and what I hear you speaking about is a shifting of mindset. Because I ask myself all of that time, you know, especially the police. I know with the police to say, hold on, it's giving people tickets.
What are the priorities?
In terms of what we need to do. So thank you for that input. We have another caller and let's do it. Call again.
Yeah, man, let them know exactly Jamaican people are bringing money to go and train people leaving school to be traffic one and make policemen go out there and walk the town, walk the city and socialize with the people.
Excellent.
And do policing work.
I'm in full agreement, my brother.
On the clock, the phone, and we are talking about progress and intelligence. So one of them, both the opposition and the government need to pack up and give particular a chance, man. Have a nice day.
All right, my brother. Take care. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning to you both.
Hey, Jigsaw. Morning.
Is that Lowell I hear join you guys? So
Yes, sir. Yeah, they give me a little spin off of the mic, so I'm trying to make good use of it.
All right. Yeah.
Well, spin this morning well.
Make it more awesome.
Okay, sir.
You know, he's the producer, so he can write himself in at any time.
I'm inviting this
Okay,
caller.
Invitation accepted.
Here we go. This is about political representation, you know. We have to be careful in this country, right? Because when I listen to folks talk, they're talking about a leader, right? That's not where you get representation from. It's representation of
from the people.
Yeah, from the people. But I mean, there are 63 people that vying, no, 63 double that, vying for position. I don't know what the figure is in local government. But that's what we must focus on. We must be focusing on a team of people, not an individual. This gentleman is comes along and is have a new approach. But we need to hear what is he presenting to better represent us and not about individuals. We have a mindset of I'm getting a repeat here what I'm saying. I don't know
You
why
have
that
your
is.
radio on?
Yeah.
Maybe you have a device
No.
on.
It
Oh,
is
you're
not the
hearing
radio.
an echo on your own phone. All right, that is you
No,
and your phone
that's
company
it.
busy.
You mean repeating exactly what I said,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a connection.
So we have to be careful about how we're looking at one person to come and solve our problems politically or development-wise. They get that representation.
Yes,
Right?
agreed.
I agree with you.
Yeah, man. Well said.
And we have to get rid of the messiahism.
Yes, that's correct. I was just
We're
about to comment
bounded
on
up in
that.
that. We're
Yes.
bounded up in messiahism.
And you see it in the David, because them now come and make declarations. They stand and make declarations in a very forceful way to let you know who is in charge.
Yeah.
And
So
we need to get rid of that.
adjust that mindset, right?
Yes,
we need
sir.
to collaborate with who have like thinking, or who we can collaborate with a different type of thinking that will come together at the center. We get something to work with to drive the thing forward.
Yes.
I'd like to encourage that. All right, that's me for this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Probably might
Good
come back
comment.
with another swing. That's a 4. I want to get a 6.
You want to get a 6? West Indies win yesterday. West Indies under 19 win yesterday.
I have to Google, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, you guys take care.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work.
Yeah. I just saying on that note, do you know that the World Cup under 19 cricket is happening in Guyana and the West Indies won their game yesterday? That's the first game to Australia.
Still play cricket in the West Indies?
Yes, man.
Well, they're playing it in Guyana.
Rally around the West Indies.
I'm just being bad. Anyway.
But tomorrow is election in Barbados as we go around the region. Probably forgot.
Any word from your Barbadian contacts?
Yes.
What's the mood as they prepare?
Yeah, I've seen some cartoons where people are moving out of Maya's party into the other
Oh,
one.
it's time for us to take a break, so you can tell me that privately. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. This is the Morning Connection.
Morning. Welcome back, Carla. Go ahead and speak your.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
An advice to Jamaican communities and Mr. Patterson, whichever persons want to run for representation of the people. Begins looking at how to have a platform to launch from, and the platform must be project oriented. In a sense that, what needs to happen in the communities is persons begin working with the regular persons, like Mr. Patterson now, come out amongst the people, begins looking at what is happening, because you have to be in Parliament at this moment. We begin forming benevolent societies, looking at the resource within the community, how to develop it up amongst the people and so forth. So, if we really and truly, if Mr. Patterson now do things like those with the local representative, people within the community, because that is where he would now be selecting his slate of people from. Because you will see who is best suitable to lead, whether as a councillor or whatsoever within that area.
So if he's not already making those kind of moves, he's not serious for you.
Yes.
Yeah, he said he came home and he studied the environment.
When we're looking at persons who want to take representation.
Yes. Track record is important. What have they done on their journey to offer themselves up?
Yes.
You're right.
But, by the time, when I tell persons, say, I rather choose like how the local government things set up. Them tell us, say, DDC, CDC, PDC, and such like going onward. We must begin working with the person who we see within our community who has been doing things. And that is what beats me, We say 2 million man grow up and things. Can't go put him up there, man. Because I know Miss Matty, little boy, from him, running nose. But when you look, he was the person who has been there from the beginning.
He has put in the work.
Yes. Yeah. We need to begin showing away the little difference where sometimes man. Because little people will grow up, little people will grow up and fight and this and that. But that's not just youth-based things, man. Now we come where we really need to make the decisions.
Man, I endorse what you're saying, because as we try to get people to be more discerning about making their choices and to examine why they might react negatively or positively to one person over the other, it's important to take into account some of those things you're talking about. Yeah, because you might have it's true, you may have a little thing that come from way back with somebody who you think them did show off or them whatever. And that continues to influence your thinking without you're really examining what have they done, and so it can be based on merit and performance, and you don't throw out a good person because you have a knee-jerk reaction that just don't make sense.
True. And the other thing where the virgin attack like amongst us the poorer class of people. I don't like to use the word, but we use it for the time. Like we don't have integrity amongst us. We have that, man.
Yeah, but did you notice he shifted? He shifted, He said there are some poor people who don't have money, but they're rich. And that is the richness that he's looking for. And that's why sometimes you have to stay with a conversation and pull out the heart of the person so they can, elaborate a bit on what's really in their mind. Because he wasn't saying that poor people lack integrity. He was, and in the end, he did make it clear that if you are rich in spirit and integrity and ambition and capability, you're the man for the job. He would love, however, to see that you're not under pressure when you're doing your work because banker call you, you can't pay school fee, your children hungry. And what that comes to is our making sure that those whom we elect to serve are well paid so they don't have to worry about those things. All right, my brother, I'm getting the signal.
Compromise,
I'm getting the signal that I have another call. So wrap up for me so I can.
Yes. So one of the things I also want to see is our nurses and our police and soldiers.
Yes.
They go through some psychological training so that they know how to deal with persons.
Yes.
Because sometimes some of them carry it out upon the people.
That is true.
And so forth. So we need to do that. on behalf.
Yeah,
They
man.
give their training,
Your
they
input
need to get back.
your input is
No, it's in
stellar.
their training actually.
Yeah.
But they need to constantly do review, my brother.
And see it reflected, I
mental,
think
yeah,
is what
well-being,
he
yeah.
is saying. All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Thank you, my lady, for explaining to the listeners what I really meant, you know?
Yeah,
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Some of them taking it what I said the wrong way. And I want to correct something. The two of the callers from here, Sheppy.
Yes.
No, you're enlightened. You're enlightened and
Well,
self-interest.
I love it that you made the time to call back. So there's no confusion.
No, another thing before I go.
Yes.
Shortly, before I go.
Yes.
I think a lot of people, you see, we emotional and we speak too much.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, man. And because of that now, we are willing to give a man, like for argument's sake, we are having problem with these two parties.
Mm-hmm.
And we are willing to take, we're willing to give anybody that come along.
Yes, I know what you're saying. Anybody who come along can take the job. But
Right.
not those two.
Man,
We cannot work like that.
Man a drone.
If we do-
Yeah.
Man,
yeah.
I draw.
If we do something like that, we're going to find ourselves in
We're
the same
in the back in
position
the
that we are
same
in now.
position. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to point out to
Yes.
the people, you know.
Yeah. I
This
think
man come and he's making some speech, and probably some of the things that he's saying attracting people.
Mhm.
But we need to dig deeper into what he's all about.
fortunately or unfortunately, if he's up to it, it's fortunately, he is going to come under the right type of scrutiny because
Yes, man.
persons are just hungry now not to make the same mistake. So,
And if we find him that is a person that we are looking for and have the right,
And the team.
everything that we're looking for,
yes,
different from what we have now.
yes.
Then there's no
question.
we don't have a problem electing him.
I
But
know
we just said, well, we have two parties, or two people that not serving us right. We're
Just
going to
find
take up a
anybody.
man that come and say, boy, we can do the job better.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
Can't work like
We
that.
can't make that mistake.
I mean, I
Can't
agree with
work
you.
like that.
yeah.
I agree with you. Yeah, but the important thing is to check what is happening and make sure you are making an informed decision. Thank you very much.
This is
Eli.
done.
Yeah, man.
Definitely. And too many times in this country, we're not doing that, and that is the problem we have in this country. We're not doing that.
Let us see if we can be part of the change.
Well said, my brother. Thank
Yeah.
you very
Thank
much.
you again.
Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Shalom.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, this is
And
Mr. Samuel.
shalom
Morning,
to
sir.
you, Mr. Lawrence.
Yes, sir. Good morning to you
And
too,
the family
sir.
in the studio.
I take it that you'll be contributing to the topic this morning. This is not school morning, right?
Yes, I wanted to take it back a little in regards to education, like
Yes.
speak of
Mhm.
yesterday.
Yes,
And
yes,
the issue has turned up again about Mr. Patterson.
yes.
IUIC about here he was
Oh,
educated.
foreign
Yes,
foreign
yes.
minded because
Yes.
you're foreign
Okay.
schooled.
Yeah, and Miss Lawrence and Pastor Percy was speaking yesterday on the subject of education in the morning and also, but nobody seems to touch that. And
Yes, we
the
didn't.
enterprise,
Yeah, we didn't get
there's so much entrepreneurship.
Yes.
But I didn't hear any call. I wanted to speak on it yesterday, but my
So
time
talk
was
on it
limited.
this morning,
Go
man.
ahead, man. Go ahead. Talk about it.
No, Pastor Patterson, I will be both philosophical and I will be both spiritual.
Okay, go
You have to
ahead.
break it down so
No.
other people can understand, my brother. Don't get too philosophical or spiritual now. Let's keep it at a level so that,
Well, fine.
Yeah, we
Spiritual
don't
is
want to lose
concerning the
anybody.
law. Philosophical is concerning the worldly understanding.
Mm.
Now, Pastor, have you ever heard the definition of what education is? And what is the best definition given out thus far by one of our own?
I think it's Marcus. I don't know. I check. I think I know where you're going, but I don't remember it.
Hallelujah, my brother. Hallelujah. Yes. Did you know so the scripture also give us something concerning that?
Yeah, what
And I
it
said us specifically speaking to the people that came on the slave ship.
Mhm.
Particular. Whenever I speak, I'm addressing a particular people, and you have an idea what I'm speaking. All right. This is what he says, and I quote: "Education is the medium by which a people are prepared for creation of their own particular civilization and the advancement and glory of the race."
Marcus, go ahead.
Now, if you notice, education is not an end in itself. It's a means to a continuum and that is to the advancement and glory of their race. Okay. All right. And that topic, that is philosophical. Now I will go to the scripture. Now, did you know that God in his wisdom has seen, as it is written, Isaiah 46 and verse 10, he knows the end from the beginning and declared. Now, he saw us concerning enterprise, being self-enterprising. He saw us when there's a time when the chain would come off our hand or our neck. And he said, we're supposed to, as according to the book of First Thessalonians 4 and verse 11, he said we are to study to be quiet. And that doesn't mean you must not speak and speak right trustfully. Quiet there refer to be calm, because it is said that a man with a calm spirit, and it is better you to in a situation to be considered a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Sometimes we do that. All right. He said we are to study to be quiet. To be quiet, that means self-enterprising and to do our own business, to conduct our own business. That's what we should have done. So we should have done early. We should have businesses, created business to create employment for our people. So you would not have such idle hands on the street with young men and committing crime. Idle hand and wasted mind is what causing all the crime. Yes, Pastor, concerning there's a caller that says this man, referring to Mr. Patterson, IUIC. Was it IUIC? UIC, United Independent Congress, and that's questionable. But I won't get into that now. All right. He said this man has no beard. No, where does he found that to be a contradiction?
Well, he asked if he's clean shaven. Well, none of us would answer it, so.
Yeah, did you know our book admonishes us to be aware of such persons?
Seriously?
Yeah, man. Man should always have a beard.
All right.
Now, you can't shave a lion.
Oh, so you're saying the man's question was right. A man without his beard is...
No. This is what the Most High God says. I told you yesterday, we must speak his word, not our own word.
I'm asking if you're saying that the man who asked if he's clean shaven,
yes,
that he's right.
That's a legitimate question. That's a spiritual question.
That's all I'm asking you.
It says in the book of Leviticus chapter 19 and 27.
Yeah, but hold on a little bit though, I don't have a beard right now. So
you're unscriptural.
Well,
I am.
Well, Pastor.
Where does that put me?
No, Pastor. Brother Percy, I encourage you to go.
Yeah,
if you're an Israelite, if you're a Negro and you have any connection,
that's Brother Lowell.
If you have any connection to the people that came on the slave ship on this side of the world, you need to grow back your beard.
All right.
That's a lion, like a lion's mere, and we are lion. We're lion pride.
All right. Thank you very much. Interesting.
All right, brother. Let's just pick it up another day. Here we have somebody else holding.
All right.
Interesting contribution. You have more to say, but let's pick it up another day. We have somebody else.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning to the trio, dear, and good morning to the engineer.
Morning, sir.
Interesting time. I just want to put something out there, because maybe Shepherd can help me with it. 3 years ago, there was a murder in a house. But 2 people was in the house. Last Paul, I'm not hearing from you now. You have a song to this thing here. And 2 people was in the house. Right away, as the investigator, they come, they said the man that was in the house is no suspect. They just jumped to the conclusion. No, he said they was tired and was sleeping. They don't know who killed the man inside the house in Barbican. Now, we say we're serious about solving crime. No, I think that was one of the easiest things, crime to solve. But anyway, we'll put it aside. We have a commissioner who's sitting on office. He's getting so many pay, so many money. You have a lot of people who went up for the job and did not get the job because them never fit car.
He was the best of the pick.
Yeah, we are dealing with a friend thing. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. So,
remember, he was advisor enough to the Prime Minister before.
Yeah, that's what I say. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. So then I say go. So you have to go home with a thing where you now fix you up. Now make sure you know all right. Everybody all right, and everybody smiling. It's not about solving crime. It's about we are going to do a thing and make everybody happy. Why I cannot reason with people.
Seems to me you are holding the leadership of the police force, the commissioner, accountable for the performance of his group. Yeah. I don't fault you for that. That's how I feel too, because the rank and file take instructions.
I'm holding 3 people right now.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister, the Minister of Security, and the Commissioner of Police.
All right, my brother. We are with you on that. They are accountable.
Yeah, of course.
They are accountable.
Must be accountable.
Yeah. Question is if they hold themselves accountable.
You have put there to deal with that job, and you're not dealing with it.
Yeah.
And you turn up when you want to turn up, and you turn down when you don't want to turn down. That cannot work.
Yes.
This case I'm telling you about 3 years ago, and you're not hearing nothing about it in Barbican.
Yeah, but you might not be satisfied with what you heard about it, but they did come out to say that they had no basis on which to hold the homeowner accountable, because they did take him into custody and they released him. So the question is whether you trust the police work that was done.
But look at this now.
Because remember, a citizen is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So either we believe that or we don't. The failure may not have taken place at the point where you suspect it did. Go ahead. Yes.
If I'm me and you then come in our house, we'll lock up till I know them throw the key and we never hear nothing about it. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. But we still ask a question. We still want answers,
Well, keep asking, because we kept crying for the Prime Minister's statutory declaration, and now it's out. And then what? Are we somewhat like the dog who catches the car and don't know what to do with it? But
That's what in this minute?
No, the dog who catches the car.
Catches running the car down and catch up to the car and then it turn full. Don't know what to do.
Yeah, because now that the declaration has been published.
We are going like the one with the reflection in the part of person, no bother one, the reflection in
the mirror.
In the water.
Oh, the dog with the bone?
Yeah.
No, man, that was Narcissus.
The greedy dog loses bone.
Yes, the greedy dog and the bone.
The dog loses bone. So the reflection and say, what about that bone bigger than mine? That same bone, But it's reflecting in the water. And them open them mouth and let them bone. The greedy
all right.
dog loses bone.
When you call tomorrow, you can tell me who's the greedy dog and who's the reflection.
You know what?
That requires a little more breakdown. All right, my brother. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, cool.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Morning time.
Morning time to you too.
Yeah, all the best for the new year. We're not talking since the new year.
Really?
Sometimes I have to look at a back burner to my time,
Yes.
Go ahead.
That is true.
All right.
All the best to you also and to your family.
Yeah, man. Thanks. All right. Just a thing with the land now, which most of them politicians, them own up most of the land, like not for the man them name we are called already. One of my suggestions I suggest is when a house when time a developer some place houses and do a housing scheme and support, right? Why we the people now have to pay for the land? My suggestion is, I mean, after have regulations, anybody build house and catch up all over the place and then the place look like, you know what I mean? So I'm saying one of my suggestions is that when the people develop the housing scheme, why the people them can't get the land? If I go develop the house, say argument said the house I will cost $10 million.
But they have those arrangements,
And then the land will have a value cheap like as $4 million. So then add the land money to the house money, so it will be $14 million. Why we Africans are coming so?
we enslave and come in. So why we have to end up pay for the land? If you pay for the house, you might develop the land, make people get the land.
So let me explain something, because like the housing schemes that are funded by NHT, some of them are based, they're called service lots, where it really is the developer. Sometimes if it is a non-government developer, the developer chooses. And if he chooses to build a house, then you get house built on the land. But remember, I said the definition of land in Jamaica includes any permanent structure that is on it. Most people, the NHT's commitment is to put people in houses. So they don't want you to buy a piece of land and then you don't get around to amassing the resources to build a house. And so you don't have a house, because some people have the land and the land sits there for years. And some developers don't want to have empty lots in the middle of their development, so they build houses. The issue for you, though, is what's the reasonable cost of those houses to persons who question you're asking? It's been answered. It's been answered. Yeah. What you need are some developers who will do service lots. But you, when you take your build on your own land loan from NHT, you gotta be diligent and build a house.
Because
I'm not talking about your personal land. I talk about
no man. You can buy a service lot.
Government, them say a government land.
No man, you
in government them people land and say after the government. Say if I'm going to developer, if I'm going to develop the government land, right? The developer will deliver, but them can't sell it with the house, but don't sell it with the land.
Yeah, but you see,
once you sell the land, if there's a house on it, the house goes with it. They cannot be separated. I mean, you can have agreements where you buy the land and you take a construction contract along with it, and the construction cost is separate from the cost of buying the land. But those are just different shades of the same arrangement.
NHD has those
I don't know if you really understanding what I'm saying still. What me explain it.
Yes.
All right. The government have 20 acres. That's the argument, sake, and it's a government land.
Right.
And a developer, I will develop the land. And the land, the house, I will say $20 million. But most of these developers now, even though government land, they tie in the land with the house in it.
But I'm telling you that they cannot be separated. If a developer is building houses, he cannot separate the sale of the land from the house. He can sell you the land if that's the kind of development he's doing, where he might say the lots at the back are service lots. People can buy and build on it on their own time. And the lots at the front, I'm going to build houses on it, and you can buy with a completed house. Land and house go together as long as there's a house on it. You may be saying that if it's government land, when they build a house, they should only charge you the construction cost of the house.
Right.
But that's where the money is.
Yeah.
The bigger cost in buying house and land is in the house, is not the land.
And then what happens is that in terms of the scheme of things, the government might say to the developer, our input into this housing scheme is the land that we're giving you. So it means then that it holds down the cost of the house, that they don't have to say, we have to buy the land from government, which is what they do some of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank
you. That's what they do. Right.
I love that process. But that don't happen, not true.
No, man, you have joint development.
It happens, but the realistic cost of a house is high.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Give somebody another room. I have some other thing, but give somebody another
Call
room.
us back.
Sir.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Morning, Miss Lawrence. How are you?
I'm well,
Morning,
thank you, sir. Good morning to you.
Yeah, I have to make some quick comments.
Sure.
Moving. One point about a gentleman called talking about Mr. Mark Golding and how he doesn't want things because he has it already. And in addition to that, he also talked about how he loves people. I don't remember his exact thing because I noticed that he got down at jungle. You can represent them or something like that. You remember that comment?
Yes, he made a connection between Mark's comfortable financial standing and his community service or his patriotic service, and said a man of his means does not have to go down into that community to work, but he has done so. So he made a connection between the two. What is your point on it?
Yeah, that's I said in the interest of time.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I agree, I disagree with him. But one way to look at it is it could be looked at also that because he wants power, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
he gravitates towards a safe seat.
Mm-hmm.
And if he loved the people, he would have lived there among them, because living in his wherever his rich his big house is and going down there, no, it could be interpreted as just because maybe he wants power, then he would go down there and do that. Is that because
That is another way
We
to
have
look at it.
yeah.
Some persons say that proper representation should require the
You live in the
representative
community.
to live in the community, and that might be
Okay.
something you look at in when you do constitutional reform. And they have it in some countries. If you want to represent a community, you got to establish a home there, so you're both accessible and relatable to the people. We haven't done that in Jamaica, and we hardly have MPs living in the community. We have a lot of councillors who live in the communities, but not MPs.
Okay, so we have to move on quickly.
That's
The point I was
something.
making that I'm not suggesting that he should go and live there, and I'm just looking and say
It could be
possible.
interpreted in that way too. I see it. Yes.
That's true.
Okay. The next point I was making about leaders, choosing leaders, and so on. I'm not saying you should have 2, 3 parties or how many you should have or should not have.
Mhm.
The point I'm making is that it is a very delicate issue and sometimes very complex, because sometimes the leaders start out nice and pretty and so on, and they end up terrible and horrible, like Hitler, for example. They started out quiet, and Papa Doc in Haiti, and there are several others. In addition to that, there are also some leaders who are very eloquent and charismatic and so on, and turn out to be terrible and so on.
So you would be in support of the other caller who said we should have a recall provision in our constitution, where citizens could recall an elected official who turns out to be disappointing before the term ends.
No, I'm not in support of it. The reason
What?
is,
All right. What would be your solution?
I'm going to tell. I'm not in support of it, and the reason I'm not in support of it. The problem I would have with it is the method of and system of recalling. That is the issue.
Okay, that's the issue that you have. Good point.
Yeah, okay. Mostly where it is done, they use a kind of people's petition, and if a certain number of persons in the requisite area agree, then you go to a by-election.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Whatever it is, I have problem with it because a man might be doing something good all well, and it's not always popular. That's the point I'm making.
Yes.
And that is why I would suggest that in terms of the process, your vision, objective, implementation, and you're checking what the person is doing based on what was set up. Because some of the times the leadership, you have to make hard decisions, and what helps you is that you were transparent along the way so people know what you were doing.
But the democratic process to go through those issues is to put it to the vote and have people campaign and say what they've been doing.
All of that Pastor. A leader or some government will make a decision that is very unpopular. And if you were to allow the people, they would have stoned him or whatever. And in the long run, you find out it was all right.
It was a good decision, yeah. And only time will tell. You have to trust.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I have a problem with the recall thing.
Okay.
But it's a provision that you have to put in, as we say. But thank you very much. Excellent points that you have made this morning. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. We are going into our break now, so please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Call online. Go ahead and state your points, please. Good morning, caller. Go ahead, please. Hello.
All right. Well,
Hello, sir. Hello.
we always say silence cannot be misquoted. There'll
That's
be
a major quote.
there'll be
We
no
lost the
misquoting.
caller, yeah.
There'll be no misquoting
Okay.
this caller.
But in terms of what the gentleman was just sharing, in terms of, we spoke about the new constitution. Somebody has put in the whole thing of recalling,
The power of recall.
recalling things. And we're saying being careful in
Term
regards to
limits should
the
be.
term limits probably is it. Yeah, that's important.
But
Welcome, caller. How are you this morning?
Shalom again.
good morning.
Samuel, go ahead.
Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee,
Proverbs.
and thy elders, and they will tell thee. Yes, I just want to make a formal apology if, when I speak about the change and the enslavement of our people ancestors,
Yes.
if you offended anyone,
Who
why
would-
I'm being treated on this way.
No, man. Who would you offend?
Just a point of view. As I keep telling you all the time.
No, I think.
I was abruptly cut off.
No, you're misunderstanding something, my brother. Listen, remember, that we have to take many calls. We have a number of things that we have to do here. That is why when you come on, we say, listen, try and keep it short. Try and not to get, in too much long discussions, because then that affects the rest of the program.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's
So
it.
sometimes we can't carry a discussion down a certain line, depending on what's happening inside here.
Okay.
So it's nothing against you, my
So maybe
friend.
it's really our duty to apologize to you for the abruptness of the separation. We've had
basically,
enough
the
abrupt
essence of this
separation as a
program
race.
So you're saying the essence of this program is to take as many calls as possible and not.
Oh yes, we need to get as many voices as we can. As a matter
But
of
that's
fact,
not
as
the
we
essence of the
as we
program. That's
speak
one
to
of
you
the
now,
tools that we use to manage.
As we speak
the
to you
program.
now, we have someone holding, and you see that is why we can't get into too much of a long debate or educational kind of discussion.
On education another day. I appreciate it and I thank you all.
All right, then,
Have a
Samuel.
good day now.
Listen,
I will
good,
continue to
Yeah,
listen.
man.
You're
Okay, my
welcome.
friend.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection.
I always ask, why some people have shaved their heads to ball and them beard and everything, but you can't judge a person character by that still,
True.
You can't feel like a person is less godly or moral by just that.
Thank you, my brother. You're batting for me right now.
Otherwise, coming up to stay long at third time is otherwise Jamaican people, captive country produce 40% of our water to destroy. We are destroying ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to do something about that. We are listening.
All right,
All right,
so
good.
thank you.
Blessings.
And I've seen some interesting debates about the cockpit country. Vern Shepard did an article in the Gleaner on Sunday about indigenous people, and she quoted an international treaty.
The same treaty that Chief Curry relies on.
And that
The
Jamaica
same
has a-
treaty that
a sign.
others speak to. But I think I appreciate the cooling off of the rabid discussion on it, because saner heads need to just sit back and then re-enter the discussion with a lot more reserve and
In a
respect.
sensible way.
So that's why you see I didn't even talk about some of what's happening there. Good morning and thank you for calling.
Good morning, Mrs. Lawrence.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Pastor.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
And good morning to the producer.
Good morning, sir.
And to all the listeners, home and abroad.
Yes.
The UIC, Mr. Patterson.
Yes.
I think people are out of the block too early. It doesn't matter where you study, for example. What we're looking at is whether you have the moral fortitude and the leadership qualities that can push us forward.
Important point.
And it's always good to have people have international knowledge outside of the boundary line.
True.
Yes.
Yeah, they can bring fresh new ideas. We can, be libraries, with good ideas.
All true.
And that's possible with people who study abroad, who don't know the well abroad, looking for moral fiber and leadership.
Absolutely correct, sir. Thank you for that.
And I think what I think too about
So I see why it attracts people's attention. Is that it seeks to address a systematic change of our governance process. And I think that is what is attractive. And I don't think it is individually focused. You know, I see here in initial comments give more power to the communities.
Yes.
And to people.
Decentralize a bit.
Yeah. Let's wait and see and analyze when he provides.
All right. Good. Thank you, sir. Good input.
One thing, land. We don't need to worry, talk about land. It's just a clear case that land distribution empowers the people. It is a recorded study found in many studies across the globe in developing countries, especially those coming out of colonialism.
Yes.
In fact, Bahamas nearby here.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. The only issue for us now is why haven't we done it and how to get it done and to speed it up. That's really the only issue.
That we keep looking for alternative for people who can address these matters.
Yes.
Okay.
And if I can mention one final thing, I don't people going from Omicron. People are putting forward the idea that somehow it is the unvaccinated people who are going into hospital.
No, it's not.
Well, let us give them the kudos that where there are majority of people who are not vaccinated, then you'll find that the hospital will reflect that.
There you go.
Just as it does in places such as New South Wales in Australia, where 64% of those in the hospital are vaccinated.
England, US, they're not recording it. So this argument about vaccine prevent you from going is nonsense when it comes to this, Omicron. Yeah.
What we have right now, we have found out that all of these vaccines are inefficacious, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Not meeting the objective. And now we are looking for a vaccine again that will prevent the disease.
Yeah.
And we're not there yet. So
not there
let
yet.
us go where we should be, therapeutics, initial treatment at time of diagnosis test, and help people get over the thing within the 1, 2, 3 days.
Well said, my brother.
Said.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
1 to 5 days.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Morning time again.
Morning.
Stay along, you know. But me tell you something. I was a caller before this one, caller Wayne.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think. Yes.
Me tell you something. Wayne, let me say something to you, say. The amount of politicians who buy a brand new truck and we are pumping the hill if you go jog the red dirt, that's surprise to know true. You don't know. You can't tell you the amount of shop man we buy and we are pumping the hills if you go jog the red dirt there, you see. You just listen out, man. Just listen out to hear
we've been hearing the reports and
Been hearing it a
you're
long
right.
time.
We're all listening out.
A year ago, me hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You're that surprised to know how we want more trucks. And the amount of trucks that they are in Jamaica right now where people are dead hungry and can't work.
I can't get no work.
Where we can't get and them see and when I talk and I know and I talk about with this and with that, you know. I must say I'm trucking around the world, you know. We get the most disrespectful treatment on the road and all kind of different things, you know. And we are carry the world and everybody are contribute to the world, yes. But trucking at the life at the backbone of the world.
Well, logistics,
and a lot of people that are truckers out here now who don't want to get somebody and
make the reports to overwhelm anybody who is supposed to be guarding integrity and fighting corruption. What you know, take the pictures, make the videos, send it in, call the shows. Do not stop. Be relentless. Because if we pretend that we are powerless in this situation, they will continue to overwhelm us. I bear in mind, you know, is the government of Jamaica own 51% of Noranda. So they are setting the rules. I mean, it is just a terrible situation. Thank you for that input, my brother.
All right, no problem, man. Thanks. Cool.
All right. Do we have another call or we're... Oh, okay. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning to all. Good morning to this radio process, everybody, Jamaica, everybody. I heard a couple of calls talking about Joseph Patterson.
Yes.
And I don't think most of the people really know. Joseph and his wife are from Spanish Town. They went to Spanish Town High. And after tertiary, what we call secondary school, he went to Kingston Technical.
Right.
Yeah, and I know of a fact, this of Joseph, Joseph knows how to catch thieves. He deals, I'm telling you, this is the facts. He deals with checks and balances, right? And he even offered help to save the government on both sides, and they didn't want that because he wanted to be an independent person, just helping out. Right? Now, I remember driving with Joseph to St. Elizabeth when a man held him up, as to say, and this man was a man who he caught in the bank. And he said, respect to you anyway, Mr. Patterson, you're a good man. Over here, they would be gunning for him because that was one of the thieves that he catch, swindling.
Okay.
Yes?
Good testimonial,
So,
Rachel. Good testimonial. Of course, we're a little bit ahead of Mr. Patterson because he has not presented his slate of candidates or gone to the people with his full proposal. So right now, people are speculating and getting excited, which is a good thing.
So
it's
tell
a good
him,
thing.
time to go out there now.
I think it's because he's out of town, so.
Okay.
Okay.
And both of them do work, you know. So, yes. Anyway, they can find all the details about him from the website,
right?
If they want to know.
Okay.
And, okay. Thank you, Rachel. Good contribution.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you, Rachel.
Let me say hello to Taki, who found you on, what's that on Lola 99 YouTube?
Yes.
I miss his conversation and his insightful points.
Taki need to come back on
he's
TMC.
on another medium, but you can tell him where the others are.
Oh, yes.
Eventually, all the chickens will come up to roost.
Yeah.
Right now, we're maintaining several mansions.
That's a good thing. We're spreading our wings live.
Yeah, but for all the listeners who are accustomed to hearing us on the Best 100 FM
YouTube
channel, please switch to the Morning Connection YouTube channel and subscribe, share, please.
And like.
That is where we're gonna have the exchange. We have gone this route because with the Best 100, so many persons are using that channel, and oftentimes we run afoul of YouTube's
community
laws. So
which
therefore,
keep changing every day.
It makes sense for each program to have their own channel, so that the offenders will be the ones who are
in the naughty corner.
Yes,
they're put in the naughty corner. Yes.
So please, if you love us, subscribe, share,
send all over the place. Yeah, but it's.
Yeah,
so it's what? Best 100 FM
100
dash
Best 100 FM dash
TMC.
TMC, which is the Morning Connection.
Okay.
All right, so let me say my thank yous. Thank you to the callers, the listeners, those online who participated by texting, calling in, whatever, however you've made your impact felt. Where we needed to take notes, we've taken notes because remember, we have 2 public consultations underway. I think we'll dedicate a day to each of them in the coming season, meaning maybe next week. I think before the due date
gets lined up for this week.
For Thursday. Yeah, we'll dedicate some time to just taking your input on specific issues as we target them in these 2 important pieces of legislation. One is the Integrity Commission Act, and the other is the Whistleblowing Act. And since we're hearing things about all the trucks that are hauling red dirt, we need some license plates and some numbers and some information that can shine a light in places that would bring about greater accountability.
Light. We started with light.
Yes. Yes. And thank you, Pastor Percy, for keeping to the commitment and being here. I appreciate what you were doing. And the truth of it is, you are a pastor first and foremost. So sometimes, when you're caught,
but
in the realms.
You have to fight it through to the end.
You gotta, but thank you for showing up. Mr. Producer Man, thank you for co-hosting with me. Somebody asked me what's in my long cup.
Look like.
Well, thank you
know,
for having me.
thanks for the contribution. And engineer, always
Community,
good work.
community.
Thank you very much.
Click on its way. Click on its way. Clip on its way.
Clipping along,
Clip it
clopping along.
Bringing
All right,
about
great.
change, real change in our
Yeah,
community.
I could say it now. Nadine Malloy has agreed to join us on Thursday. We're gonna look at the education, all things education, the report, how she has done with the school she is. She was a past president of the JTA, so good lady to talk to and to get some insight. And who knows, maybe she can encourage us in a new direction. So thank you all and have a great day. This is the Morning Connection signing off.